Alrighty. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Secrets of Successful Speakers Mini Summit. My name is Danielle Benzon, and I am going to be your host today while I interview some absolutely amazing speakers. They are all they have been chosen because they are successful, but they are also heart-based, they are purpose-driven. These are people who love what they do and people that I hope that you can relate to as you think about where you want to go in your speaking business. These are folks that we can model, these are folks that we can look up to and, you know, imitate in the best way, in the way that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. Not copying, but using them as a role model as we move forward in our speaking careers. And so our first speaker today, I am so excited to announce. I'm going to bring him on screen and I'm going to tell you who he is. Our very first speaker today is Shiraz Babu. Now, Shiraz is a multi-award winning author, international speaker, and reality interventionist. I love that. He is known for helping people to rewrite their reality to overcome challenges in their lives. Shiraz has helped thousands of people to overcome illness, poverty, and unconsciously addicted struggles, rather. Overall, he is a renowned personality in the area of reality addiction, and his book, How to Rewrite Reality, has changed lives across the globe. Yeah, oh, there we go. There's the book. Fantastic. I'm honored to have worked with Shiraz a little bit, and I look forward to working with him more in the future. But I can absolutely attest to the power of his instinct and his wisdom and his insight. He's
Oh,
really an amazing person to watch work as well as work with. So, Shiraz, thank you so much for being here today.
thank you, Danielle, for having me. I love the whole concept of this, and I looked at I didn't like look until yesterday or the day before at who else was speaking, and I'm like, damn, she's got some good speakers at this event.
I know, I was kind of surprised everyone said yes. I was like, oh wow, this is a little intimidating. But we got to push ourselves, and it's good to spend. What do they say? You want to surround yourself with people that you want to grow into.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked that you're here, and every one of our speakers is here today. I'm
All
stoked.
right.
So for those of us in the audience who don't know who you are, can you tell us just a little bit about? We've done the bio, but tell us a bit about you and your business and how you rock and roll.
All right. So I am a reality interventionist, which means I get you out of the addiction to your current life, current struggles, sense of lack, self worth, and get you addicted to more success, more money, better relationships, even better health. And I primarily work with entrepreneurs that are trying to get to that six-figure mark, and the ones that are just like, I tasted it, but I can't stay there. Those are the people I love to work with, because you're actually getting to a point where you've reached the goal, but gone into withdrawal of your old life and get pulled back. And
Mm,
that's where the addiction comes in. You don't realize you're addicted to your current life. And anyone that goes through yo-yo results, that's you get trying to get out of addiction and going into withdrawal.
that makes so much sense.
Mhm.
That makes so much sense. So, as part of your business plan, you use speaking as part of your business plan. So, can you tell us a bit about where speaking fits into your business? Because obviously, you coach people and you help them to overcome
Yep.
these addictions. Where does speaking fit in?
Where does speaking fit in? Probably about 75% of my income comes through speaking to get people into my programs. So, and
That's
yeah, and I
huge.
do multiple six figures a year. I had my first seven figure sales year just recently, and I'm going to do it again this year. So, but speaking is incredibly important. It's not just speaking, it's knowing how to speak. Because some people think they're good speakers and they're not. And I don't want to say like you think you're all that, but you're not. I used to speak and I would get standing ovations. Right. People like, that was amazing. That what you just did for this audience, I feel so inspired. And people would come up to me and it's like, oh my God, that was great. And then I said, and I would talk about, I've got these great programs. They're like, no, I'm good. And then they'd leave. And it feels like
Mm.
you've just been friend zoned.
Totally.
So that's like speaking to inspire, that's wonderful. Speaking to move your business forward takes a different set of skills. You have to talk to the audience in a different way. You've got to hit different points in their psyche to make sure you get that sale. And once I learned to speak properly, like the sales just started happening. Like I remember the first time after working with the speaking coach and getting my talk just down, I'd given it this first talk after that, and I got off the stage and I was headed back to where I was sitting, and I could see my phone and I could see it lighting up, and I thought, who's texting me? Right. And I knew I was online. There was an audience, but I was also online. I'm like, maybe people
Yeah.
saw it. And it was deposits from the thing I just sold on stage. It was like boom, 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 boom. And I'm like, holy crap. It's
It's working. That's amazing. So you speak about, and I think a couple of speakers are going to speak about today. There's different types of speaking, there's different ways of speaking, there's different ways of building speaking into your business as
yeah,
well. You're speaking specifically about speaking to sell,
yes.
which is, I think, a huge part of a lot of us. That's what we're doing. We're speaking to sell. We're using speaking as part of our marketing.
Mhm.
Um, what what do you think is the biggest struggle to get to that point where it clicks, where you're like, oh, this is now it's working?
It's one of the things is stop thinking about what you want to tell and start thinking about what they want to hear. Right? It's very different. And if you are speaking to sell, you're speaking to get people into a certain program. A lot of speakers, I will watch them and they will talk about all the things their program has and what you're going to do in the program. And no one cares. Okay. I'm sorry. They just don't. No one cares. They care what results you can get them.
Mhm.
So when you start talking about your life looks like this now, and it will look like this when you're done this program, then they're like, oh, let's lean in. But if you start talking about, I have a proprietary system that we work each day doing this and this and this, they're like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't care. I really don't care.
Let's go into the weeds over here.
Right?
No.
So, and stories are incredibly important, right? Stories are memorable. Stories will create sales for you. I was at an event once, and there was one guy that came up to speak, and this there's just, I mean, there's so many elements, and we can go on for hours on just what you have to do to talk. But the two people that had spoke before, they told stories that were absolutely compelling,
Mm,
and everyone, like to this day, I remember those stories and how powerful they were. But they didn't put content that we could use to move forward.
mm,
So it was just like, that was an inspiring story. I got nothing to do with you now. I'm just going to move on.
yeah.
He saw this and he said, you know what? I'm going to give you guys content. I'm going to give you stuff that's really going to change your business. And then he started speaking, and I'm taking notes because he's giving all this great information. Now I've got this thing of great information. I don't remember who he is or what he stands for or anything. So I did not connect to him. I connected to the information,
Uh-huh.
but it's not like I will go seek him out to work with him because I don't feel connected to him.
Mm,
Now, then there was a speaker that told stories, was engaging, was entertaining, got us to laugh, got us to choke up, gave value. People are like, I'm working with that person.
mhm,
So,
mhm. It's about bringing all of those different elements together. So
yeah,
we have to connect on a human level. We have to inspire. We have to tell stories, and we have to share value. Because yeah, if we're sharing a nice little complete story, then yeah, there's nothing for our audience to take action on. We want to inspire. Inspiring isn't enough just to kind of go, oh, that's nice. Want to inspire them to something, inspire them to action, inspire them to change. I
yes,
love that. That's beautiful.
yeah. And even if you're doing a paid speaking gig where you don't have to sell anything, you
Mhm.
still want to get them to a point where they take an action, like go
Yeah,
out and be nice to someone or whatever it is. Like
yeah,
if you can't get to a point where they're going to do an action, you still did not do well as a speaker.
I agree.
Yeah.
You just entertain. Well, and not that entertainment isn't valuable, but it's a different thing. Like you want to. I think most of us, people in this audience, definitely, we want to create change somehow. Like we're creating a movement. We want people to buy into our ideas, buy into our programs, but also buy into our ideas, buy into our message,
Yes.
create change somehow, and that takes action. It's
Yes.
not just sitting back and going, "Oh, that was nice." I know,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
I'll go to a comedy club for that. I mean, like,
Yeah, exactly. A nice relaxing evening. That's not what we're out to do. We're out to disrupt things. We're out to shake things up. So what is your big, like, did you have, when you started out, did you think that you would end up here? Like what was your kind of path to getting to where you are today?
Uh, that's a weird question for me. My journey hasn't been the same as most people because I started my business on a bet.
I love it. See, there's all types of businesses out there. This is excellent.
Yeah. I was using the techniques I use called energetic magic on friends and family, and someone said, people will pay you for this. And I'm like, no, this is just a hobby. This is a thing I'm trying out. Like, no, and my friend's like, people will pay you for this. So I said, you know what? I'm going to start charging $100 an hour for my service, which I thought was a lot of money at the time.
Yeah,
And people started paying it. And I'm like, oh my God, this is a business. Right. So and then I started to just fall in love with the transformations people were having and just left my old career behind and started doing this and haven't looked back.
I love that. It was something that was already part of your life,
Mhm.
and you just found a way to make it more part of your life and
Yeah.
make that into something that sustained you. How long did it take you to get to where you felt like this is it? I've arrived.
I don't even think I've arrived.
Oh,
So,
arrived at the lowest bar.
for the most part. Um,
They always say it takes 10 years to make an overnight success, and I'm always testing that theory.
yeah, and if you have coaches at the beginning, you shorten that timeline dramatically.
100%.
For me, I did not have coaches. I would hold workshops, and I would give value in the workshops. However, I would get 0 to 4 people coming out for a workshop. Right?
Mhm.
And I was trying different locations around the city, and there was nothing I could figure out to actually get people engaged until one of my friends, um, I worked on her because she was having a bad night. And I said, "Can I just do what I do?" And she goes, "I don't even know what you do." Right. So I did it. And the next week when we got together, she's like, "What the hell did you do to me?" And I'm like, what are you talking about? And she goes, "I've been trying to finish my divorce for 2 years. You did that thing to me, and it was done in 2 days." Right. And I'm like, that's what I do. Right. So she goes, "More people need to hear about you." And I'm like, "Yeah, thanks. Trying that, not working." She goes, "But I'm an event coordinator. I will put the stage together. I will get the people in the room. You just get up and speak."
Excellent.
All right. And suddenly I had 30, 40 people in the room and then up to 100 people in the room. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get it now.
Mhm.
And one of the big lessons there, don't go it alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
don't go it alone. And if you haven't found the right person, just keep helping people because when you're doing your thing, like you said, you helped a friend and it happened that they could help you. And so, don't give up if you feel like, oh, I'm just helping one or two people at a time. I
Yeah.
think you never know when that one person that you help is going to be the right person to
Yeah.
to kind of just explode your business because
Yeah. And
a little bit of it I think is about being in the right place at the right time. I mean, there's an element of that. We just got to be prepared for when
it's
opportunity comes by.
and it's a combination because I was in the right place at the right time with her week after week after week. But my mindset didn't say event coordinator,
Right.
put on an event. It's just like, oh, she does weddings and she does corporate stuff. Like that's not me. I'm like, no, it's still an event. Like, and I hang
Yeah,
out with her
absolutely.
every week.
It's funny how sometimes these things are right in front of our face.
Yeah.
We just don't see them. I love that. I love that so much. So, what do you think? What would you suggest for folks who are feeling a little bit, I want to speak, but I'm scared. Shiraz is so great. I don't know if I can do it. Folks who are just starting out and feeling maybe a little bit doubtful or a little bit nervous about building speaking into their business. What kind of advice would you give those people?
Speak. Right. Because that's how you're going to get over the fear.
Mm.
And if you can start off, one of the easiest ways is start off an interview situation because now you're just having a conversation. You're not up on stage. And when you start to get your talk ready and you start writing it out, you can try different sections of it while you're being interviewed on a summit, on a podcast, and see how the host reacts to it. And things that work, you're like, oh, keep that part. Right. And then just build it up until you're set and you're like, you know what? I'm going to go up, I'm going to speak. I'm just going to be me on the stage and do that talk. But I did interviews on summits for a couple of years, and that still led to sales. I didn't have to go speak on my own. And once I started getting actual speaker training, I'm like, we got this. Because I mean, I know I could speak on stage. I knew I couldn't sell from stage. I
Mm,
couldn't close. I could inspire people, but that's not going to put money in my pocket.
mhm.
And now that I can inspire from and sell and give value from stage, it's just blown up my business. Like to to get less than a couple $100,000 a year would make me upset at this point. And it's all through speaking, right?
That is a nice place to be. So, what do you think? What do you think it is about speaking? I mean, again, I know, and you know that it's the most, it's the most effective, it's the most efficient way. Why do you think that is? There's so many different types of marketing out there. What is it about speaking that's so special?
Because people feel you're talking to them,
Mm,
right? And that's really important when you're on stage is to talk to one person,
mhm,
right? It makes a difference. If you're saying, how people, then there's less of a connection. You know how you sometimes think, and then people, oh crap, it's talking to me, right? Right. So when you start learning these little techniques, I remember when one of my coaches said, um, imagine when you're writing your speech, imagine there's a single person in front of you and talk to them.
mhm.
Because you watch some of the speakers and when they say things like, how many people here do this? Right. If you're talking to a single person, when you say how many people here, and it's like their brain doesn't know how to process that on a one-to-one level. Right. Raise your hand if you, oh, okay, now you're talking to me.
Mhm,
Right. And this is how you can really connect with your audience because it's not you speaking to a bunch of people, it's you having
mhm,
a dozen simultaneous or hundreds or thousands of simultaneous one-on-one conversations where everyone feels heard. And that
mhm,
leads to connection, which leads to sales.
mhm. Yeah, I agree. I do think it's the connection, and you see those speakers who just they kind of gloss out the audience, especially in person.
Mm,
They kind of gloss out the audience because they're trying to talk to everyone all at once, and you can feel that disconnect of,
yeah.
they're not really here, they're not really present. Where when you're connecting with someone, I feel it's almost easier to do online because you only have one lens.
Yeah.
That lens is reaching potentially hundreds of thousands of people, but you only have one lens to look at, and I think kind of it kind of underscores that need for that personal connection.
Oh, in person, what I do, and I guess I do a little bit of this online too, but
Uh-huh.
in person, when I'm scanning the audience, I look for those people that are really engaged and I make sure I connect because like they're engaged. And I see some speakers, they're looking for people that are disinterested and trying to win them over, and that's
Mhm.
futile, right? What you want to do is see the people that are really enjoying your talk, focus in on them, connect with them, because that's going to spread out from those people to hit the rest of the audience.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And because they feed you and then you feed them and then everyone else kind of gets swept up in this energy.
Yes.
Whereas you don't want to ignore if there were people out there who are like smiling and nodding and you're ignoring them to spend time with the one person who's on their phone,
Mhm.
then everyone else feels kind of neglected
Yeah.
as well, which is it's the wrong way around, I think, as well. Yeah, absolutely. So, I have a 3-day event coming up next week on
Mhm.
how to build speaking confidence for those of you who are listening to Shiraz and being like, wow, he's amazing. I want to do that. Awesome. For those of you who are just starting out in your speaking career, that's what the Ignite True Speaking Confidence event is about next week, May 20th to 22nd. And Shiraz has very generously uh, he's pledging a gift. So not everyone gets this. Everyone who comes to the 3-day event and attends 80% or more of the event, because you got to show up, you got to be there, you got to do the work. You can't just sit back and go, "Oh, they're going to do breakout groups now. I'm just going to disappear." You can't do that. You got to be present, you got to play, you got to play full out, you got to interact, do the work, and I'll be gentle, don't worry. But if you do that, then you get this gift from Shiraz, which is absolutely amazing. Can you tell us about this gift?
So each month I do a workshop called Refuel Your Ambitions. It's a 3-hour workshop. And in it, I coach people on what's holding them back in their ambitions. We get you to a place where you're just ready to go. You're feeling empowered. We're pulling out beliefs during the event, and I'm working on people directly. It's not like I'm giving a talk. I'm coaching people individually right in this workshop to get transformations happening. It's a $500 workshop, and you get it just for attending 80% of the event.
You get paid $500 workshop for attending a 3-day workshop, which is also really cool. So come to that. Here is I'm throwing the link in the chat. please do come out. The 3-day workshop is only $47, so you're getting way more than your money back. There's a really good ROI on this investment. Um, and we're going to wrap up in a couple of minutes, but before we do, I have two more questions for you, Shiraz.
Mhm.
One is, what do you think is the biggest struggle for folks, and like not the biggest struggle, but like the biggest myth struggle? What is the biggest lie that we tell ourselves that stops us from becoming speakers and getting on stage? What do you think that is?
My story is not important enough, not big enough. Right. I remember I was in a workshop with Forbes Riley, and she told her story of what she went through before she became Forbes Riley. And I compared my story to hers, and I'm like, no one's going to want to listen to my like, come on. After all of that, holy crap. Uh, but your story is going to resonate with your audience. And people hear my story and like, oh my God, that's great. And it hits with different people in different ways. So there's always going to be someone that wants to hear what you have to say. And I like to do the math. I'd say, let's say 99.999% of the people in the world don't want to hear your story, don't give a crap about you. Okay. But 0.00001% do, right? I'm trying to do the math here.
Yeah.
That's that's 800,000 people, right? Do you think you could do well if 800,000 people want to work with you?
Right?
Right?
You don't have to be for everyone.
No.
It's so true. It's so true. And I love that everyone has something. You may not find your story important because it's very close to you and you kind of live with it every day,
Mhm.
but everyone relates to a human in a different way. And as long as it's real, as long as it's earnest and it's true and it's connected, I think we think, oh, that's too mundane. It's not jazzy enough. It's not like, oh, I didn't, nearly die. I didn't have this near death experience. It doesn't matter as long as it's relatable and it's something that people can get a sense of who you are and that you care about them. I think that's almost more important, is the humanness of the story, not
Yeah.
necessarily the drama of
Yeah.
the story, but the humanness of the story and the relatability. Absolutely. Well, Shiraz, I just want to talk to you forever, but unfortunately, fortunately, I have lots of other speakers lined up, which is really exciting. So, as far as a piece of like a nugget of golden advice, your absolute kind of secret to speaker success, you've already given us so much. I think. Let's see if we can. I remember. Talk to just one person. Make sure that you're inspiring people to action and not just telling them a nice little story. Focus on the movement of, the call to action movement to sell or to action at some point. And your story is great.
Mhm.
It doesn't need to be all jazz hands and bombs exploding.
Yeah.
What is your, and also just to speak, just get out there and do it, because you never know. Just keep at it. What would be your kind of final encapsulating, this is the secret to speaker success, or this is the best piece of advice I can give you at the beginning of your speaking career? What would that be?
Don't try to be something you're not. Don't try to like build this persona. The thing that's going to sell is you being authentically you. And there's zero effort in being you. There's a lot of effort in trying to create a persona. And so if you want people to connect to you and you want things to be easy, get up on stage and be you.
Oh, I love that so much. Thank you so much, Saraz. This has been absolutely amazing. Folks, do sign up for my 3-day coming up next week, but also work with Shiraz. He is so wise and insightful and really powerful in what he does. Will help you break through your blocks and get to that next level. Get addicted to that healthy, wonderful success that you want to live. Thank you so much, Shiraz, for being here.
Thank you for having
I'm
me.
so super excited, and thank you for the gift.
Oh, my pleasure. And you got Tiffany coming up. She is amazing.
Tiffany, come here. Yeah, you two work together. What a surprise. What a small world. I did not know that when I put you next to one another. All right. Thank you so much, Shiraz, and I will see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Everybody, stay tuned for our next speaker, who is Tiffany Kellogg. Before we get to Tiffany, I do just want to talk a little bit about our 3-day coming up. on May 20th to 22nd. It's next week. It's so exciting. The name of the event is Ignite True Speaking Confidence, 3 days to step into your brilliance and kickstart your speaking career. This is for folks who are feeling like they need a bit of extra support. So if you are you're a business owner or you're someone who wants to get your message out there, but you've been a little bit conflicted. I've got a big message, but I'm also really scared and I don't know if I'm good enough. This is the kind of event for you. I do work with speakers of all levels. I work with some very successful speakers, but my favorite folks to work with are those of you who are just starting out, who are maybe trying things out but not getting the results that you're looking for. Maybe you're stuck in the stage that Shiraz was talking about, where you're speaking and you're getting good feedback, but you're not making sales, or you're not getting the results that you're looking for. And there's just some small tweaks that we can make to really help you with that, because it's not about creating a perfect performance. We can take that stress off of the table. No more perfect performances here. That is not what we're looking for. We are looking for connection. We're looking for impetus, inspiration, that kind of connection with folks to help them to move on to the next level. This is not about being a perfect speaker. This is not about following someone else's rules. This is about figuring out who you are and being the best representation of that. So when I work with speakers on technique, the technique is not to replace who you are, it's not to change your personality, it's to highlight these best bits of you. So you on a really good day, what if every day that you spoke was your best day? And not like, oh, I got stuck in traffic and oh, I'm not feeling very well. I didn't get enough sleep and my cat died this morning. And so I'm really low energy and I'm all flustered and I forgot my. What if every day you were just in the zone? That's what technique does. It's not about changing who you are. It's not about turning introverts into extroverts. It's not about any of that. It's about helping you to be the best version of yourself, your weird, wacky, wonderful, imperfect, glorious self on stage in a way that connects to your ideal clients. So I love what Shiraz says. 99.9% of people aren't going to be for you. And if you show up brightly and loudly as yourself, they will self select out and you'll never even need to talk to them. You don't even need to see them because they're not going to come up and chat to you. The 1% or 0.1% or whatever it is that are your people, they're going to see you from miles away because you are being yourself as brightly and loudly and beautifully. And I don't mean like loud, like extrovert jazz hands loud. I just mean like fully being yourself and embodying your values, whatever those are. The more you embody your values and your why and your passions, the more the right folks are going to just they're going to come to you. And that's what we want. As that's why speaking is so effective, and that's why it's once you get over the hump of the nerves and feeling you're not quite good enough, it's one of the easiest ways to market yourself, because all you need to do is be yourself, which is kind of cool. So with that, please do join us. I'm just going to throw that link in the chat again. My 3-day event to building speaking confidence. Do join us. It's 9 to 5 PST, May 20th to 22nd. You don't have to come for the whole thing, but if you do, you can pop in and out. That's fine. It's modularized, so that is an option. But if you do come for the whole thing, you get some amazing gifts from our speakers from this mini summit today. And with no further ado, Tiffany, are you ready? Are you ready for me to bring you up on stage? Yes, I'm getting the thumbs up from Tiffany in the green room. Excellent. So I am so excited. I'm going to bring her on screen first, and then I'm going to make her listen to her bio. I love doing that. It's really super awkward. Hi, Tiffany.
Hello, so glad to be here today.
I'm so stoked you're here. So for everyone, Tiffany and we're recent friends. We've met each other recently, but I just love her energy and I love her attitude, and she's so authentic, and she's we're so in alignment. Like she walks the talk. And so I want to tell you a bit about her. As an accomplished author of several books, including the highly anticipated The Entrepreneur's Guide to More Free Time, which I think we all need, set to hit the shelves this year, Tiffany shares actionable insights to help entrepreneurs master referrals and networking, achieve remarkable success in their businesses, and reclaim their time to truly enjoy life. Her vibrant style, paired with her gift for turning ideas into Tiffany's. That's why we get along so well, because of the puns, uh, which are epiphanies inspired by Tiffany. It keeps audiences engaged and eager to take action. Tiffany's journey has taken her across the globe and the internet, working with thousands of entrepreneurs through keynote presentations, interactive workshops, and exclusive programs. Her unique ability to mix strategy with fun ensures that every interaction leaves her clients with tools and motivation to create real results while enjoying the process. And this is why we get along so well, because it's all about fun. Tiffany, I'm so glad that you're here.
Thank you so very much. It is a pleasure to get to join you today. We're going to have us some fun, right?
We're going to have us some fun. It's, every speaker, I'm like, oh, I hope I can keep this to the half hour, because I just want to talk to you forever. This is cool. It's like having all my favorite people around, like learning from them too. It's great.
It's one of the things I love about doing summits, because I'm like, who are my folks that I want to bring in to share with the other people in my network? So I'm privileged to be here.
I'm so honored. We can go on all day.
We got other things to talk about.
We have other things to talk about, mostly speaking success. So the folks who are watching, a lot of us are, we're earlier in our speaking career. So tell us a bit about how you got to be doing what you're doing.
Yeah, if you would have told me early on, Tiffany, you're going to be a public speaker, I would have laughed, because I was petrified to speak in public. And it was in my adult life. I think I was 20. It was 2005. So I was 26. I'm 46, y'all. I don't care. It was 2005, and I went to my very first networking event. And they're like, you have to stand up and talk about you and your business for 60 seconds. And I'm like I wouldn't have gone to that event if they told me I was going to have to stand up and talk in public in front of 50 strangers. Like, I wouldn't have done it. I was petrified to speak in public. However, I saw this room full of people that could be good in helping me grow my promotional products business, which is what I had at the time. Right. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to deal with it and get involved to network, because before that I was cold calling, and I'm good at it, though I detest doing it. Ugh. Like I wouldn't phone call. I would knock on doors or open doors to grow my business.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, yeah. I'm like, oh, networking and referrals are there. And part of some of these organizations is you get the opportunity to speak for 30 or 60 seconds, or do that 5 to 10 minute presentation. And so I actually started speaking because I had to, as part of this group. And they're like, hey, Tiffany, you want to be president of our chapter? And I'm like, I've been here 6 months. I'm petrified to speak in public. I'm 26 years old. I have no clue what I'm doing. I look like I'm 18. Are you talking to a different Tiffany in this chapter? Because I thought I was the only one. And I was. But they're like, no. And I'm like, what better way to get over your fear of public speaking than volunteering to be president of the chapter that has to lead the meeting 52 weeks of the year?
That's a big commitment. Talk about leaning into what makes you nervous. Talk about like jumping in, right? Wow.
Yeah, so that was kind of my start. It wasn't I set out to be a speaker or any of that. I was just doing it to put myself in a position of high credibility with everybody that came through the door, whether they were members or visitors. They saw me. And so when the organization was like, hey, you want to help do some of the member training? I'm like, yeah, I'm still afraid in public speaking. I have no clue what I'm doing, but what better way than to learn? And there's maybe something to be said about the fact that in your mid-20s, you're more fearless than you are in your mid-40s, but I think it's always great to be fearless. But I just started training more and more, and I was using it in speaking as a way to grow my promotional products business. And so I originally started it marketing. One of my marketing avenues was speaking. It wasn't speaking to speak, to do keynote, to any of that. It was just speaking to promote my business. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing that, and it was probably about mid-2008. My husband and I were sitting down having a beer at Chili's, I think, and we were talking, and I was spending about half of my time speaking, half of my time running the promotional products business. And we decided in this dinner that he was going to take running the promotional products business completely over, and I was going to continue to feed the business by speaking, but I was going to spend more of my time doing speaking. So 2008 is when I, kind of retired from running the promotional products business mostly and went full time. I am a speaker.
And I love that because there was so many, not only are there lots of different avenues into speaking, but there's so many different reasons to speak and ways to use speaking as part of your business. I love that at the beginning you used it just as positioning. Even if you never speak to sell, even if selling on stage terrifies you and you never end up doing it, just speaking to position yourself as an expert, to be seen, to be remembered, for people to be like, oh, I'll go to her when I need that thing. That is huge. It's
Yeah.
so big. We work so hard to be seen and to be remembered as business owners, and it's such an easy way to do it.
It is. And back then, you would talk in person, like that was it. This was preface. I feel old now. I'm like one of those old timers. Back in my day, there was no Facebook, there was no Zoom. We had to be in person. Now we can speak in so many different ways.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different mediums, for sure. So many different ways to do it, and there is no right way. There's a right way for your business. There's a right way for your goals and for your personality. There is no, some people will be like, oh, this is the perfect way to speak. No, it depends on who you are and depends on what your business is, I think.
Yes. Yeah. And for those of you speakers out there, I've been talking all day. I've been talking all week, but apparently right now I'm going to have a coughing fit in the middle. So these are my Halls Mini sugar-free cough drops. So they're not as big and massive as some of the other ones, but when you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like there's something in my throat and I'm still talking. I have them nice and handy when I'm speaking in engagements. I usually have them on the podium or in my bag. I like them because they're tiny. So this was not paid for by Halls. I
We
just
gotta
found
have them
myself with a
sponsor it.
tool.
We gotta get Halls on the phone and be like, sponsored by. That was such a perfect. Oh, if only they had been sponsors, that would have been perfect.
And this is a good example. It's never going to be perfect. I know you and Shiraz were kind of just talking about it's never going to be perfect. And I did not have to acknowledge that right now. I don't think it would have been that big of a deal. Somebody would have been like, what's she doing? But she put something in her mouth. No big deal. However, I love being transparent. And I'm like, as a speaker, stuff goes wrong sometimes. And so in my speaker's toolkit, I keep cough drops. Sometimes I'll have honey too, because I'll just like a spoonful of honey before you speak will help coat the throat. But then don't drink water. They don't mix well. Do one or the other.
Honey and water. Well, I mean, honey and tea is quite nice, but yeah, I know what you
Yeah.
mean. Yeah, yeah, and I love that. I love that approach. I also, people are like, oh, what if I mess up? Then everyone will see. But this is the whole point. The more transparent you are, if you're transparent, you don't get found out. Like there's no imposter syndrome if you're being transparent because you are who you say you are and what's going on. One of my favorite coaches, one of his favorite sayings was embrace everything, deny nothing. And so if something is happening on stage, if you pretend it's not happening, it's going to distract the audience and they're going to be like, what's going on? And they're going to get distracted and they're going to forget about what you're talking about. But if you incorporate it seamlessly, like you did, and I mean, that's actually another way to make money speaking is if you're doing YouTube or something, you could be sponsored. That's a way of making money. So, hey, another revenue stream that
I
you
need
didn't plan on talking
at
about.
least my $2.97. Send me I don't need that many, but send me a couple boxes a year.
Well, yeah, I mean, they can pay for advertising and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of things. But, the more that we incorporate it in, the more fresh you feel, the more included the audience feels. There's something really magic about not being in denial about anything and just incorporating it all. And you don't need to make a big deal of it. It doesn't need to be distracting, but incorporating it, I think I love what you just did. It's beautiful, beautiful example of how things don't go our way and we can make them gold.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you kind of started out as someone who was very shy and speaking to position yourself. What was the biggest struggle that you found? I mean, obviously, shyness and nerves are a big thing. Was it that, or was there something else that you found that really stopped you from getting to where you wanted to be?
So I think that because I took on these roles where I was doing like member training, so I had engagements every month that I had to go and do. Now, sometimes there would be 2 people, sometimes there would be 20 people. And so early on, there was a lot of practice for me, and there was that room full of people for me to practice on. I feel bad for them sometimes. However, hey, it's okay. And so it was just the opportunity that I think that I got that not everybody gets, is that continuous ongoing repetition. And so I think that a lot of times speakers will struggle because they're like, I need to find the events to speak at. However, we need to work on being better speakers in the meantime. And so what I love nowadays is you can do things on Zoom. I know Kimberly Crow's coming on in a little bit, and they have like a whole playhouse where they can go like test out your speaking. There's amazing organizations like Toastmasters that help you really on practicing the speaking. And so I think that for me, the practice made a huge difference. And my learning curve would have been years, not as short as it was if I wasn't speaking as much. And so sometimes it can be the struggle of, okay, where do I go speak? Because we all want to speak more, but the more you can speak, the better you're going to get at speaking.
Yeah, finding a consistent way of doing it. Because I also find I get really anxious if there's too much pressure. If I haven't spoken for a while and then I have a speaking gig coming up, there's so much pressure. I'm like, this is the event. I have to do well. There's that like, oh, it's the only one. Whereas if I speak every week or every 2 weeks or a few times a week, then it's just something I do. And, I may not have a shower beforehand. And so there's no
Luckily, if
smoldering
we're
on
on
Zoom.
Zoom, we can't smell. If you're in person, I do recommend a shower.
Oh, no, in person, definitely. I work
I'm just
entirely
kidding.
online right now, so there's,
Yeah.
yeah, no, definitely in person. But it becomes something that you just do. And I think there's a level of confidence that comes from that consistency, that practice, just doing it over and over again. I love that you said that, because I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves when there's only one, and then we want to get it perfect. If you do it all the time, it's iterative, and you're like, oh, I'm going to experiment. I'm going to play. This time I'm going to do, like, if I've got 3 speaking gigs this week, the first one I'm going to try this, the second one I'm going to try this, and you start to live with your talk like it's an organic thing as well, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, and I think that the more you get to know your content, and I think most of us know our content. It's just about formatting it in a way that makes sense that the audience can follow along with it. The more that we really get to be a master at our content, it gives us the opportunity to become a master at the delivery. Even something as simple as, y'all, I'm speaking with my hands up here, which is so weird because who talks with their hands at their head? However, I want to say on this hand to that hand. And so if you're only thinking about your message, it's just the words. And that can sometimes come off monotone or dry. Once you begin to get more comfortable with the content, I like to say, you can put the music in with the words. And so it's more than just hear the words coming out of my mouth. It's how are they coming out of my mouth? How am I using my body? How am I moving? And on Zoom, we're in a small little area, but I know plenty of speakers that have never spoke on a real stage. Now that to me has to be super scary. If you've only ever done Zoom, to go in front of a real stage, like I could see that being like palpitations. But I also think it's about realizing what are our nerves. So I have a tendency when I start speaking to be super fast. I usually will calm down within 5 or 10 minutes. However, if I've only got a 20-minute spot, you don't need me speaking 250 words a minute. I am a fast talker. I have my little Speedy, teeny baby, beanie baby from, you remember these? So this is Speedy. He usually stays on my microphone over here, but because today I'm like, I want to keep my energy even throughout. When I speak with international audiences, especially, I want to keep that energy not too crazy because I got a Southern accent. And when I speak very fast, it can be harder for people who English is not their second. Sorry. Look, y'all, I messed up again. Oh my, the world is ending. English is not there. If English isn't their first language, I might speak a little bit fast. So trying to slow it down is one of the ways that I deal with that energy. Mm-hmm. I like to walk and pace and practice my presentation before I get on stage. Some people like to listen to music. Some people meditate. I have way too much nervous energy for meditation. I mean, maybe it would work. I need to be up and moving and going. And it's about figuring out what works for you. Is it you need to pump yourself up or pull yourself down? What works for you?
Yeah, and everyone is different, and that is so huge. And simple things like understanding like the technical part of your frame, understanding your medium, that's not going to come right at the beginning when all you need to do is survive. There are different stages of growth, and at the beginning, you just want to get up there and not die. And that is success. I'm sorry, but that counts as success when you're on
Yeah.
that stage. That is huge. And then you're like, okay, I'm not dying. Now, is there something that I can improve or like a result that I want to get? And eventually we get to the point where we're doing mastery. But it doesn't happen overnight. And knowing where you are is important too.
Yeah.
Giving yourself that grace.
And I was a member of the National Speakers Association local chapter here in the region for about 10 years. And so I met some speakers that were brand new or haven't even started speaking, and some that had been speaking for decades. And regardless of where they were at in the journey, the people that are successful in speaking are continuing to work on their skills, continuing to be better, even if they've already been speaking for 50 years.
Because you're a human being and you have limitless potential.
Yeah.
So why would you ever stop? Why would you ever stop growing? If you can. And there is that thing of like, the better you get, the more you want to get better. And
Yeah.
so I saw an interview with Sir Ian McKellen, who's one of the greatest actors of all time, and it was recent. He was already in his 70s. This interview was maybe 5 years old.
Yeah.
And someone said, what do you think makes you such a good actor? And he said, I feel like over my career, I've been practicing and practicing, and I'm just starting to understand what I'm doing.
And he's
Yeah.
like, and he's not even just an actor. He's like theater actor and all of that. If you like that, so David Tennant does a podcast. It's called David Tennant Does a Podcast, who is Doctor Who.
Yeah, David Tennant's amazing.
He did a really great interview with Ian McKellen. Like, it was a really, I like his David Tennant's podcast series, period. I just like the way he does it. But he had a really great interview with him. And it was just like the art of it, the joy of it, and to still want to be doing it as long as possible.
And that is something that is so important. The joy of the mastery. If it's a slog, if it's a chore, you're never going to get there. You have to find the joy in it. And that actually makes me want to ask you, because I don't think I did ask, I meant to ask you, I don't think I did ask you, what's with the socks? Speaker in socks. Tell me about, I have a feeling it has something to do with joy. What's the whole speaker in socks thing? Tell me, Tiffany.
So the short version without the whole backstory is when you see me on stage in person, I'm wearing, this is one of my speaker dresses. Not that you can see a lot of it because, we're on Zoom. But so I've got on my normal speaker dress, and then I have on fun, funky, colorful socks and Converse. So when you see me, I love it, especially like when I do keynotes, because typically if I'm doing a keynote presentation for my main groups, usually are like professional association, trades associations, and companies that have franchises. So they'll bring me in, but often before I do the keynote, I'll send videos. I'll write articles for their publication or their news release, just all kinds of things to have those touches before I get on stage. The beautiful thing is they don't have to see me on stage to know who I am, because I'm this gal in regular looking attire, but knee-high, bright, colorful socks and Converse. And it's not really a persona per se, because it really evolved naturally. Like, there's a whole story of how it got to be here over like 5 years. But then a very trusted colleague, mentors make such a huge difference. He's like, your sock thing is so all over the place and amazing, and people remember it. Why aren't you doing that on stage? Because I was just wearing it with my boots or under my suits. Right. You couldn't see them. And so that was a switch, and it wasn't necessarily an easy switch. And sometimes I still feel weird. However, it's a branding thing. It fits. Yeah. I am a fun and quirky person, and you see that. I had somebody ask one time, Tiffany, what if, the audience thinks this is a little too off the wall and, they really want something more serious? I'm like, I will refer them to a more serious presenter, because if you want a serious presenter, I ain't it. Yeah. I will get you stuff. I will get you the business help you need. I will get you the results that you're looking for. But I am not plain. I am not boring. I am not even kill.
This is a soapbox that I stand on quite often. This idea that professional and boring have to be synonyms. Like, no. There is nothing in the definition of professional that says it has to be lifeless and boring and devoid of personality. There is nothing in that definition that says it has to be. But I have so many, especially younger speakers, well, not younger, like newer speakers, come to me and say, I don't want to be myself because what if I'm not professional enough? Are you good at what you do? Can you get results? You're professional. That's it. That's all you need. You
Yeah.
don't need to pretend to be someone you're not. You don't need to take all the personality out of yourself. Let yourself be who you are. You can still be professional. Don't swear, maybe. Well, let your audience
It
know that
depends
you're
on
going.
your
If you're going
brand.
to swear, let them know you're going to do it.
Right.
Don't, you know, let them know that that's who you are if you're going to do that. There are some audiences that are cool with it, some that aren't. Know your audience. That's important.
Yes.
But you do not need to ever suppress who you are. In fact, the more you lean into it, the more memorable you're going to be. I love that so much, Tiffany.
Yeah. And one thing I kind of want to add to this, because I'm in
Yeah.
agreement for sure.
Yeah.
Though I think that there's something to be said. I laugh sometimes. I'm like, some people are like, I'm going to be unfiltered 100% of the time. You get me the way you get me. Do you act that way in front of your grandma?
Respect is important too.
So to me, I 100% be you, be who you are, keeping in mind that you're not, on the couch with your buddies on Sunday watching football, or this is a professional setting. So do keep in mind it's professional, and it's different for everybody. There are famous speakers out there that wear, what I wouldn't wear to the gym. They're just like casual, or they're a sailor or pirates with all their cursing. And there's nothing wrong with that. You want to pick what is your brand that works for you. Mm-hmm. And have those right people. Shiraz is talking about finding those people that are the right fit for you. Mm-hmm. To me, when you are, here is who I authentically am.
Yeah.
You're inviting the people into your world that want that.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to polish it or make it glossy or be, that slick, slimy professional, people aren't going to be able to really get you. And it's those people that really get you that become your raving fans that want you. And when they want you, they're going to try and get you to speak in front of more audiences that they're in.
Yes. I think being you, but being you with intention.
Yeah.
Knowing your audience and thinking about them. So yeah, there's respect there. I want to be in service. I want to make sure that they're getting the best experience. And as long as we're not being selfish and we're not being like that self-conscious of like, well, I'll be whoever I am. As long as we're including our audience's needs, we're never going to go wrong. And I think it's about that context of what do they need? Maybe they need me to be in ripped jeans to feel safe because they're all in ripped jeans, whatever it is. But doing it intentionally and never just kind of going like, oh, whatever, I don't care. That's not respectful. Right. But going, I am going to consciously I'm going to consciously wear my socks to show people that I have a personality and that, that you can be more comfortable on stage. I'm saying something with that. Like, there's a reason I've got blue hair, people, we're being intentional with things, and it's part of our message.
Yeah.
We're not being disrespectful. We're not being dismissive of our audience. I think that's kind of what you were getting at, is like, that's what professional means. Professional means understanding the needs of your audience.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So speaking of, you really specialize in networking and helping people achieve success in their business. So can you tell us a bit about that? And because I think a lot of news speakers, that's where they're speaking. They're not necessarily up on stages yet. They're networking. They're doing that 5-minute speech at their BNI chapter. So tell us more about your specialty.
So to me, our goal is, most people would love to grow their business by referral, because of all the ways to grow your business. It's got that trust level built in. It's usually quicker and easier. And so referrals are key. And I do think they need to rename referral marketing to relationship marketing. So it is all about the relationships. And so if I'm out and about networking as a speaker, there's really kind of two types of people that I'm on the lookout for. One, I'm on the lookout for who are people that might be able to bring in speakers, whether it's to the corporation, to the school, to the chamber, whatever it may be. Who are the people that could bring in those speakers? I'm also looking to connect with other professionals that are selling to my ideal audience. Because what I find is, if you can find a handful of the right people that you're all speaking to the same type audiences, on a different topic, it makes it really easy for us to bring them in. Now, like I may have a book, y'all, shameless self-promotion, which totally works as a speaker. So I have a book. It's called Knock the Socks Off Your Audience. And it does talk about delivering presentations to one or to many. About a quarter of it is talking about your why, which I find so very important. And that's why I wrote this book. And I'll talk in a little bit that you don't have to have a book, but it can help. But it's not something that I actively teach on. So where I can connect with Danielle, and it's like, okay, if you want help on the speaking side, here you go. If we're looking at, hey, you want help on the mindset of being a speaker, okay, great. Shiraz can help you with that. Are you looking to connect with a lot of other people with speaking? You know, Kimberly Crow knows a lot of those people. She's coming up next, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So, I mean, it's one of those things that like all of these people here on this summit offer something different to speakers. And so it makes it easy to say, okay, I'm speaking at this session. Okay, when can I bring Danielle in? When can I bring the other people that have the same audience with a different message? And I'm very big on, you want me to talk about referrals or networking? You want to talk a little bit about fun branding? You want to talk about how to have more free time as an entrepreneur? I'll talk on those. Anything else just about? No. Somebody was like, you can talk on leadership. I'm like, I can, but I don't want to. They're like, but you're a leader. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not me. There are others out there. And so as you're coming up and you're speaking, think about who else is speaking to the audience that you want and how do you make friends with them? Because if we're going to do a summit, like, why can't I have 3 or 4 of my friends at the summit speaking as well?
Yeah. And it's so much less intimidating. You know, it makes business so much easier when you have a community. You have people who you like, who you understand, you're aligned, because then you feel good referring them as well. Because my clients are precious to me, and I'm not just referring them to just anyone, you know, but I know these people, we have similar values, they're in alignment. I know they're going to treat them well. That's all really important. So I love that so much, Tiffany.
Yeah.
Just yes, we are so vibing. So speaking of which, as you may have noticed, I have a 3-day event coming up in May, the 20th to the 22nd of May, Ignite True Speaking Confidence, where I will be working with speakers on their delivery and on their confidence and on just showing up and leaning into what makes them special. And if you come for the full 3 days, you get an extra special gift from every single one of these speakers here, including Tiffany. So Tiffany, can you tell us what that speaking gift is?
So this gift doesn't deal as much with speaking. However, speakers need time. And so my gift to you is going to be time in the form of Escape from Email Hell. So I have a program that I've done, Escape from Email Hell. It is all about the opportunity to spend less time on your email, send less emails, all of it. And so this can sometimes open up an hour or 2 a day for entrepreneurs. And so it's time to go out there and do some of the other things. Now, can I have like 30 seconds for a Tiffany tangent?
Please, Tiffany tangent. Go ahead.
Tiffany, I am so cool that I have a name for my tangents. My people know them. They're Tiffany tangents. It means it's of value, but it ain't part of the conversation today.
Love it.
Speakers all the time, get a book, write a book, write a book. And I love writing a book. My 4th one will be out in October. So I'm all about writing the books. However, maybe that's too big for you right now. My Escape from Email Hell is a webinar. Well, it was a live thing. Audience people there that I recorded 3 hours that then I had edited to put into smaller chunks that is now an on-demand program that I sell. Now, y'all that come will get this gifted, but it's something that I sell. So it didn't take the time, the hours, the energy, the effort, the money, all of it goes into a book. So I'm not saying don't write a book, write books, love books. And when it comes to creating a package or something that you're selling, like Shiraz was saying, hey, I was in the front of the room, ding, ding, ding. It doesn't have to be a fancy product. It could be a digital download that makes you $10, $20, $300, $500, $1,000, depending on what it is. Sometimes it's about how can I do this simply? Not just because everybody says I need it. To me, a book is a lot of energy. And I wrote this book in like 10 days. I mean, it took editing and stuff, so I can crank it out. But it's energy and effort. What is the easy thing for you to start building your product line, to start building your offering for people without taking a ton of time, energy, and effort? So that was my kind of, here's my gift and here's a little tip.
Yes, yes, and do it because as I think everyone's been saying, you got to just get out and do it. And the easiest way to get out and do it is do the simple thing. I know everyone's like eat the frog, and sure, if that helps you, but when it comes to something that's this scary and this important, do the small thing, do the easy thing, grab the lowest hanging fruit and build from there because
Yes.
any momentum is momentum.
Yes.
Yes. Tiffany, I love talking to you. We can talk all day, but we can't. So, one final thing for our audience before we move on to our next amazing speaker, who is the fabulous Kimberly Crow. Uh, what is one last piece of just golden nugget for those out there who are starting their speaking careers?
I think that every entrepreneur, regardless of your profession, regardless if you're speaking to sell from the stage or if you're speaking to help grow your business that has nothing to do with speaking, have a coach always, forever. Well, okay, not forever. I recommend that you always have a coach. Now, there is something to be said about finding the right coach for what you're looking to do. I've worked with vision coach, achievement coach, health coach, business coach, finance coach. Shiraz that was on earlier is my reality interventionist. I've worked with people that is, accountability. So find a coach. Anytime in my business or my life where I've plateaued is because I don't have a coach. But do find the right coach. I remember interviewing a speaker coach once, and he said, my first things I would recommend that you do, Tiffany, is stop using ain't and y'all. And I'm like, this ain't going to work. I'm like, part of me is this is who I am.
Yeah.
Now, if you have an accent or you say things that most people don't understand or you're hard to understand, that's a very different conversation.
Yeah.
For me, it's very much about being who you are. And I think we've hounded on that for the hour.
Yeah.
Find the coaches that work, that help support you versus trying to mold you into what they think you need to be.
I love it so much. That is a beautiful final message. Thank you so much for being here, Tiffany.
Thank you so very much.
Everyone, please stay tuned. We have more amazing speakers coming. Thank you so much, Tiffany.
Thank you.
Do sign up for my 3-day to get her amazing gift. If you come for the full, you don't get it automatically. If you come to the full 3 days of my Ignite True Speaking Confidence, you will get Tiffany's amazing gift. So do sign up in the link in the chat. I'm just going to throw it one more time. And now, with no further ado, I have the honor of bringing on the amazing Kimberly Crow. She is so fun. She is so energetic. Talk about having a coach that's going to kick your butt, but in the nicest, most wonderful, funnest way. I'm going to bring on Kimberly Crow, and then I'm going to make her listen to me read her bio. So I'm going to bring you on, Kimberly. Hi.
Hi, Danielle. How are you?
I'm good. It's so good to see you.
Oh, it's great to see you too. But I have to tell you, everybody needs a friend like Danielle, because if you can connect with somebody who can get a lineup like this one to come and speak to her audience, like, holy cow, did you see this lineup? It is off the chain. Tiffany is fabulous. I love her to pieces. She's so fun. Shiraz is one of my favorite humans on the planet. Jennifer and I have hung out many times. Jennifer Deep Stratton's coming up next, and Susan Crossman is the boss when it comes to books. So like, everybody needs a friend like Danielle.
I like this talk about being out of your comfort zone. This whole day is so out of my comfort zone. I'm like, I admire all these people so much, and they've all come to talk to me. It's so great. So stage fright still happens. Just every time you level up, I got comfortable in my little comfort zone, and now I'm getting out of my comfort zone talking to Kimberly, you and all these other speakers. It's so exciting, and I'm so stoked for you to be here. And I'm going to read your bio. I'm going to make you listen to it. Kimberly Crow is a dynamic international speaker, entrepreneur, and co-creator of Speakers Playhouse, which you really have to go to if you haven't already, if you're a speaker, and founder of Entrepreneurs Rocket Fuel. Having spoken on over 5,000 stages, including a TEDx talk in Las Vegas, Kimberly empowers coaches, entrepreneurs, and speakers to elevate their visibility and amplify their message by getting on stages and grabbing the mic. Kimberly is so amazingly good at what she does. She is so great at helping speakers kind of figure out where they need to be and what they need to do. And I love one of my favorite sayings of hers that if it's not fun, it's not worth doing, which is so great. And I've totally taken that on. So Kimberly, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about you and your amazingness and the Speakers Playhouse and all of the summits that you do, and just Tell us a bit about who you are.
That's a lot. That's a whole lot. Yes, and thank you for not blowing that phrase, Mike. It's totally. You got it exactly right. If it's not fun, it's not worth doing. And I've heard people just sort of screw that up every time they try to say that. So thank you
Oh,
for doing it exactly right. I just think it's fun. So let's make it
yeah.
happen. Yeah, when I started in this entrepreneurship business, I was helping people launch businesses and things like that. And I launched my own $1 million business and run multi-million-dollar businesses and had all that fun. And then I realized there's so many coaches out there, so many healers, so many creatives that really have awesome stuff, but they're not getting seen and heard, and nobody knows about them. They are the best kept secrets out there. And that's, what's bad about that is that if the great ones, if the ones with the really powerful programs that can really help people, the heart-centered entrepreneurs who want to make a difference, if they're not getting seen and heard, then somebody with twice their price and half their talent is going to help somebody that they can help.
Mhm.
And so I'm all about making that stop happening by getting people on stages and letting them share their message with the world. And so, yes, summits, podcasts, radio shows, TV shows, web summits, webinars, real live in-person stages. I'm all
She
about it.
does it all. She does it all, folks. She does everything. And I love that, Kimberly. And I love that you are here to empower and amplify, heart-centered people who have a good message, because I think that I don't know if you've noticed this, but I think that those of us who are really passionate about what we do, we tend to be a little bit more shy. And the people who don't really care and who just kind of like, whatever, I just want to take your money and not really help you, those people tend to be, sometimes they have more confidence than the people who are really heart centered. And I don't know why that is, but I love that you want to really help amplify and empower the people who really care, because I feel like they need more of a platform.
Yeah, I think it's the aspect around sales when you say like, oh, sales is like it's for slimy salespeople and blah blah blah. And I think sales gets a bad rap. I think it does.
Mhm.
Um, but the people who are really good at sales are not necessarily good at solving the problem you have. The people who are really good at solving your problem are not necessarily good at sales. And so I think when you get on stage and you're able to talk about what you love, it is selling it, or it's getting the word out there, but it's not that heavy duty push, buy my stuff or your world's coming to an end kind of thing. So I think that the stage is the great equalizer, and it
Yeah,
lets everybody be able to share what they're up to in the world. And those salespeople that are the pushy, shovey salespeople, they get exposed in the same way that the people who are great at what they do get exposed for being great at what they do.
I love that. It's so true. It's so true. So, you've been around for a while. You've made a huge name for yourself. Everyone knows Kimberly Crow and the Speakers Playhouse and
I would love to
Entrepreneur
believe
Rocket
that.
Fuel and your summits, and you do the Voices of Women every year, and you do all these amazing things. How long did it take you? Let's just be vulnerable and real for a moment. Tell us
Yeah.
about the struggle. Was there a struggle? Was it easy for you? What
Oh,
was your journey?
piece of cake, piece of cake. No. How long did it take me? 50 plus years. My mom is an artist, and she has a very good friend who's an artist, and she's in her 80s. And somebody walked up to her and said, "This painting is beautiful. How long did it take you to paint this?" And she said, 87 years. And
I
I
love that.
I think it's true, right? Like,
Yeah,
the thing of it is it's not, nobody who's an overnight success is really an overnight success. And there's so much that happened before that. And when did I get good at speaking? Pretty much the same time y'all did, around 2 or 3, right? We got good at it, right? But when did I get good at being on stages? I'm still getting better. I'm still improving. And I will often say that we need to get on rehearsal stages, that we need to practice a lot. And the reason why is because my best talk ever is my next talk. This talk's going to be great because Danielle's here helping me, supporting me. But my next talk might even be better because I might uncover something that I could do differently next time. So yeah, I think you're always having a chance to improve. But the good news is, and the bad news is the same news. The way to get good at public speaking is by publicly speaking.
it's so true. but there were different levels of stages, and we don't want to put too much pressure on ourselves. So talk to me a bit about, you talk about different levels of stages. We've got like practice stages, and you've mentioned that already.
Sure.
Talk a bit about that, like for folks who are starting out and they're like, oh, I want to speak on stage, but I don't want to get this like high stakes gig and then die and have all this pressure. How do they how do they
Yeah,
approach that?
actually, I talk about 4 kinds of stages that
Yeah,
you can
or
be
kinds of
on
stages.
and how to profit from each one. Stage number 1 is a speak to sell stage, but it's not necessarily level 1. I mean, that you can come at them in all kinds of different ways. So, I say the 4 types are speak to sell, which is I'm getting on a stage to talk
Yeah,
about who I am and what I'm up to in the world and lead people to a program, product, or service that I have, so that they can join me on their buying journey. So that's a speak to sell stage in the
yeah,
sweetest, lovingest way to put that. It does not have to be a, buy my stuff, pushy webinar presentation kind of thing. A
yeah,
speak to sell stage is any stage where people can get to know you and get comfortable with you and then get on a buying journey to buy something from you eventually. Now, if you have nothing to sell, you're not going to be on a speak to sell stage, right? But if you have something to sell eventually, then ideally speak to sell stage. It is my most profitable stage, being able to share who I am and what I'm up to in the world and get people into my world to just learn and explore a little bit more. There's a lot of free stuff in my community. I have tons of free content out there. And then if they want a little bit more, come to an event that I'm running. And if they want a little bit more, come to a program that I'm running. And so there's lots of different levels in speak to sell.
so
The second
generous.
type of stage that I talk about and how to profit from that one is a paid speaking gig. You can get paid to speak. There's tons of paid speaking gigs out there. I know people are like, I want to get a keynote one day, pay $10,000 to speak. And that's possible. That is possible. But I will tell you that there are plenty of paid speaking gigs that many of you have already done, and you don't call yourself a paid speaker. For example, if you've ever taught a class online and charged for it, you're a paid speaker. The definition of that is you get paid to deliver content. If you were a 4th grade teacher, you're a paid speaker. If I've done all kinds of things, I've been a paid actress, I've been a voiceover artist, I've narrated audiobooks, I did murder mystery impromptu theater.
Oh my goodness.
Super fun. Does not pay really well, but super fun. I have done. I've been an audio. I've been a equestrian polo announcer where I got paid to announce equestrian polo tournaments. So all kinds of ways that you can get paid to speak without having to be like, I haven't done a keynote yet. It's like, yeah, one day you can do a keynote, or you can get paid on all these other cool things too along the way. So I
Yeah.
think don't sweat the small stuff is my opinion on that. Are you ready for stage number 3?
Heck yes.
Yeah, stage number 3 is the authority stage, a stage that gives you authority just by being on it. And most people will think of TEDx. And yes, TEDx is a great stage. The only thing you have to do to get a TEDx, well, there's a lot you have to do. But the first thing you have to do to get a TEDx is have an idea worth sharing. You all probably have ideas worth sharing. And I have an idea worth sharing. And Danielle, you do too. Everybody has an idea worth sharing. It's just a matter of narrowing that down, working with a coach, figuring out what the one authority stage you want to have at TEDx is, and then making a go of it. I do think that TEDx is a big deal. I don't think that you should just knock it out to be done with it.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people are like, yeah, I applied for one and it's in 3 weeks and I'm just going to knock it out. And I'm like, wow, all right. So for me, a TEDx is sort of akin to your wedding. Like, it's a big deal. Like, you need to plan it and work with people to plan it. And you're probably only going to do it once, maybe twice in your life.
Yeah, and it's out there forever. as well. Like that's
And
why you're doing it
everyone's going to
only
know
once or
about
twice.
it, right?
Yeah.
So you're not going to just knock one out, so to speak, right? Just to say you did it. So we want to be sure that you plan correctly. And if I had to do it again, I would wear a completely different outfit. You know, you got to have the things, you got to have the people there giving you guidance to do it the right way, and make sure that you're going to be proud of the replay of that forever. But the way
Yeah.
to profit from that one, interestingly, you can't get paid to do a TEDx.
Yeah.
And you cannot do speak to sell. You can't lead them to a program, product, or service because it's not about that. They will
Yeah.
actually it's a violation of their policies
Yeah.
to promote your programs.
Yeah.
So how do you profit from it? And the way you profit from an authority stage is to get the word out everywhere, to make sure people know about it. Because if you have a TEDx but nobody knows about it, it's not going to give you much authority, right? If you were on CNN and interviewed, right, and nobody knows about it, it's not going to give you much authority. So you have to make sure that everybody knows about it. And that's the way to leverage an authority stage. And stage number 4 is the rehearsal stage that you talked about. The goal of a rehearsal stage, the way to profit from a rehearsal stage is to get feedback. And I know people get so nervous about that because feedback is criticism, but it's also the gold, the profit, the opportunity to get better is the value from your TEDx. From a rehearsal stage. So if you're getting your interviewer to nod along, or if you're getting questions in the chat, or if you go back to your podcast later and you see that people had questions that you didn't really answer in the comments, that's all an opportunity to learn and improve for the next time. So those are the 4 stages, but there's actually a secret 5th stage that people can get. Do you want to know what that is?
Heck yes. I almost swore. I was like, no, don't do that. Heck yes.
We can't swear. Okay, I'll try to.
Oh, we can. We can. I try to save it for special occasions, because it's gonna slip out. It's gonna slip out. So whenever I can stop it, I don't want to be swearing all the time.
Fair enough. So the secret 5th stage is your own stage. Your own stage, the stage that you create. Because why? Because you make the rules. If when I was young, I would go over to my girlfriend's house and we'd have a sleepover, and my parents would say to me before I went, they'd say, okay, when you're at her house, you have to live by their rules. If they say bedtime's at 9 o'clock, bedtime's at 9 o'clock. But if they say it's at 7 o'clock, bedtime's at 7 o'clock. And if they say dinner's at 4:30, that's when you eat dinner, right? Sit down, be polite, eat dinner. You're in their house, you have to live by their rules. Well, a stage is the same way. When you're on somebody else's stage, you have to live by their rules. They decide what questions to ask. They decide how long you can speak. They decide what you can do at the end of your talk, what you can invite people to. They decide what kind of stage it is. But when it's your own stage, you get to decide. You can make it a speak to sell stage by making an offer at the end to your program, product, or service. You can make it a paid speaking gig by charging admission to attend. You can make it an authority stage by bringing in people like you brought in. Holy cow, this lineup's incredible. And you can make it a rehearsal stage. Just practice. Just get out there and give it a whirl and see what happens. So you get to be in charge. So the secret 5th stage is your own stage.
I love that. I love that. I love that. I love that. And I love that. Yeah, they do. We kind of want to, you can access them at any point of your business or any, it's not, like you were saying, it's not level 1, 2, 3 like that. It's there's different, you're going to do different things at different times. Something that I do recommend that I know you are an expert in, especially when folks are starting out, just to make it a little bit less scary, is doing interviews and podcasts. Because then you're not alone. You're not like, oh no, it's just me. You have someone else there. So can you speak a bit about, because I know you are so the expert in interviews and podcasts and that kind of thing. Can you speak a bit about why that is so much, it's just so much easier for folks who are scared, for folks who are like, I want to speak. Why is that? And how do they do that?
Yeah, a lot of people are intimidated by it. They're like, what questions are they going to ask me? Do I have to give them questions in advance? By the way, if your host asks you for questions in advance, you're in a lot of trouble. Like, do all the other ones first. Oh, by the way, you should never pay to be on a podcast for your first 100 podcasts. Now, if you're really good at what you do and you're going to convert, and somebody's like, yeah, I have a podcast and I have X followers and X many followers, and they're all your perfect audience, and you know that you can convert, and they want to charge you $500, $1,000, $2,000 to be on that podcast, and you know you can get 10,000, 20,000, 100,000 from it, sure. But in your first couple of podcasts, there are so many out there that don't charge, that just want to have a conversation with you and bring your expertise to their audience. Highly recommend doing those first.
Yes.
Just do those first. After you've done 100, if you want to be on that other one that charges you, sure, go ahead, make the choice. But otherwise, there's a lot of opportunity out there. And when you get on a podcast, you're just having a conversation with another human being. And for the most part, podcast hosts are not there to trip you up. They're there to make you look good because they want their audience to know that they bring on experts. So they're not going to sabotage you deliberately, unless it's that kind of show.
Oh, there's not a lot of those around.
There's not.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. And yeah, it's so much more human. You've got another person to talk to. It's not just you in the lens, or when you're in person, like you in a whole sea of faces. So it's a wonderful place to start. And, you can learn a lot and make a lot of good friends and even do business that way.
Yeah.
So what do you think, you're an extremely successful speaker. What is your most surprising secret to success?
Oh, wow. So something that I learned, wow. Okay. So there's levels to that as well. So I will tell you that one thing that, three things that you need to know before getting on any stage. Number one, by the end of this talk, what do I want my audience to have learned? By the end of this talk, what do I want my audience to have learned from coming to see me speak? And if you know that going in, then your audience is going to get value. All right. Number two, what do you want your audience to do at the end of your talk? What do you want them to take action on? Do you want them to act differently, behave differently to their friends and family, take action in some way, go to your website? What do you want them to do? And then the third is, how do you want them to feel at the end of the talk? Do you want them to feel like hopeful? Do you want them to feel like intimidated? Do you want them to feel pissed off about something so they'll go take action and call their senator or whatever?
Wow.
Do you want them to feel like things are possible for them? Or do you want them to feel well educated now? What do you want them to feel at the end of your talk? So have that in mind before you go in. One of the most surprising things, which is what you asked me, that I learned later in the process was that you can rush your call to action. Yeah, this is a big one, and it's a big mistake that most speakers make. A grand majority of speakers make. So I learned this through the black and blue rule, which is not the golden rule. It's the one where you make the mistake and then you learn from it, right?
Yep.
So I was given an opportunity to give a 5-minute talk to a large audience suddenly, and I was like, absolutely. And they said, and you can give an offer at the end. And I was like, okay, great. So I went in, and it was my perfect audience, and I taught, and I gave all this value, and it was amazing, and they loved me, and they're along with me, right? And they're learning along, and you can tell when the audience is really with you, right?
Yeah.
At the end, time's winding down, and I was like, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Kimberly Crow. If you want to meet me, I'll see you in the back of the room. Cheers. And I took off. And they were like, I actually got like a standing ovation. They were really happy, and they were blah, blah, blah. And at the end, I went back and I talked to my mentor who was there at the event. And I was like, they loved me. And he goes, of course they loved you. They always love you. But you rushed your call to action. And I went, what? And he goes, yeah, you need to spend a lot more time giving them a chance to digest what you want them to do. And it's so true. And I learned this the hard way. So when you're about to give your call to action, I now divide it up into 5 pieces. So the first, your intro, which could be 2 questions, a quote, a surprising statistic, and then your story, right? Your why. And then 3 main points that you want your audience to learn. Or in my case, we could do the 4 stages, right? And that fits in here. And then this last 20%, that's your wrap up. And in your wrap up, you start with your call to action. So you say, I would love for you guys to join me for I guess I could say this because you already said it. I'd love to see you guys at Speakers Playhouse. You can find it at speakersplayhouse.com. Speakers Playhouse is an amazing event that happens every single Thursday from 10:30 a.m. to noon. It's online, it's on Zoom, it's a lot of fun. It's a gamified networking event. Super fun opportunity to be able to find stages and find show hosts. So, and find guests. So if you're interested in getting on stages, it's a great place to be. I've had a lot of fun talking with you guys today. I hope you learned about the 4 types of stages. So now you go back in and recap. And then at the end of that last 20%, you come back and you give your call to action again. So I love you guys at Speakers Playhouse. Again, you can find that at speakersplayhouse.com, right? So now you've given them a time to digest instead of just dropping it and running off the stage.
That is genius.
That is genius. And it wasn't until I fell on didn't fall on my face. I thought I was amazing.
You got a standing ovation.
I know.
You just didn't necessarily get failed.
And now my calls to action.
I love that. Folks, if you were listening, Kimberly pretty much just gave you your talk structure. Intro, content, last 20% is your call to action. And I love that coming around. It is almost like, you're getting someone really excited, then you're almost doing the Columbo, like, and don't forget. One more thing. But it's so important because the first time people hear something, they might get excited about it, but then if you go into wrap up, then they're like, oh, well, that's over and now we're good. So reminding them again at the end what you want them to do. I think that's so huge because they'll get distracted by that. Oh, this was so great. And they'll forget.
Or the next speaker coming up, right? The next speaker coming up. So when we do our summits, we'll often, they're 25 minutes. And at 20 minutes after, we're moving to your downloadable. We're moving to your gift. And then we talk about your gift. And then we talk a little more. And then we wrap up. But we give people a chance to really get the gift. And most summits that I'm on, they'll finish and they'll be like, thanks so much, Kimberly. We'll put your link in the chat. Okay, next up, we have this other speaker. And they're totally distracted by the next speaker, right? So now you get no attention on your gift, no attention on your opt-in or your call to action. And now people are moving on to the next thing. Oftentimes people will say, save the chat and you can opt into everything later. But think how many times you've actually gone back.
They really don't. You got to do it in the moment. I always click and I don't necessarily opt in, but I click and then I've got like a million tabs open afterwards and I have to go through them all. But you got to get them to click during the thing. And speaking of, this is the best segue ever because I was like, Kimberly, it's like you could read my mind because I was about to ask you about what your gift. So this gift is not for everyone who's on the call right now. Oh no, this gift is because it's special and it's like all of the gifts are of serious value for today's mini summit. Serious value. They are for when I have my event next week. If you come to the whole thing as a bonus for showing up for yourself and doing the work and pushing through that first little bit of scariness, Kimberly and our other speakers today are pledging you this amazing value. So Kimberly, can you tell us about the gift, this kind of bonus for showing up?
I will. I sold this for $597. This is 36 ways, which ended up being 51 ways because by the time I actually taught it, it was 51 ways. 36 ways to profit from speaking. So this is a masterclass that I taught. It was fabulous. You guys are going to get the full recording and we go through all the things. It was a 2-day masterclass that I just walked through all these different ways to get paid from speaking. And because a lot of my audience is struggling to make money with their programs, products, or services, and they want to get paid. And this is a great way to be able to get paid just from sharing knowledge, in addition to being able to potentially lead people to your program, product, or service. So lots of ways to get paid from speaking. So that's a $600 value. I definitely want you guys to take advantage of that when you opt in. Do not forget to watch this replay because it's money.
And what an amazing return on investment. $47 to attend my 3-day next next week. That 3 day is interactive. You're going to learn a lot. You're going to do a lot. You're going to speak a lot. And then on top of that, you get $600 worth of value of how to get paid to speak. You're probably already doing this. Knowing my audience, you're trying to find a way to monetize what you love because you want to be doing more of what you love. You want to be getting your message out there. This is it. Kimberly's gift is the way to do it. This is how you take doing what you love and you make money doing it. So please, please, please sign up for my 3 day next week. The link is in the chat and take advantage of Kimberly's gift because that is huge. Huge, huge, huge.
Okay.
So Kimberly, one final thing. We are coming to the end of our time together. One final nugget, golden, like a secret or a golden piece of advice for folks who are near the beginning of their speaking career. What would you leave them with today?
Get really clear on not necessarily. A coach will tell you to get really clear on what your audience wants, on where they are, on what their pain is. Get clear on what they need, on what they want to buy. Get clear on their mental, their psychographics,
Yes.
all that's true. But before that, I want you to get clear on what lights you up, on what you want to do.
Yes.
Because too many people, especially in this serve community, too many people are focused out there on what they want, and they don't really think in terms of what would I love? What lights me up? And there's this great quote from Howard Thurman, and I'll leave this with you. Howard Thurman was Martin Luther King Jr.'s mentor. And he has a quote that says, "Do not ask what the world needs. Ask what lights you up. Because what this world needs is more people who are lit up." And I'll leave you with that.
Mic drop, Kimberly. Amazing. It's so true. We need more people who are alive and passionate and who love what they do. Everything else will come. And that's why we have coaches and that's why we have wonderful people like the speakers today to help support you. But that's the thing that no one else can do for you. Finding what lights you up. Kimberly, it has been such a pleasure. I love talking to you. This has been so great. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with us. And our next speaker is Jennifer Deep Stratton. So thank you so much, Kimberly. We will see you soon. Our next speaker is Jennifer Deep Stratton, and unfortunately, she's actually coaching her own program today, right now, but she very generously offered to do a pre-recording. So I am going to share the interview that I did with her yesterday. We're going to share, I'm going to share that right now with you. And I'm doing the introduction in the video, so I'm not even going to say anything else. I am going to say, remember May 20th to 22nd, Ignite True Speaking Confidence. If this is getting you excited, if you are stoked about the speakers that you've heard and you're inspired, like, oh, I want to be like them. They make it sound easy. It can be easy. The things that are holding you back, the things that feel difficult, are often things you don't need to do anyway. They are lies. They are things that people have told you to do that you don't need to do. So come out to the Ignite True Speaking Confidence event. Learn more about how you can harness that ease, that joy, that passion, what lights you up. Learn how you can lean into that so that speaking is easy and sales is easy and all of this becomes so much more fun. There's always going to be a little bit of nerves, but it's the fun overshadows the nerves like you would not believe. So I am going to find this. Here it is. And with no further ado, I'm going to bring on my interview with Jennifer. Welcome to the Secrets of Successful Speakers Mini Summit. My name is Danielle Benzon, and it is an honor to interview my next guest, Jennifer Deep Stratton. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, Danielle. Hi, everybody.
I want to tell you a bit about Jennifer. I am so privileged. I have gotten to work with her a bit, so I know how absolutely genius she is. But I also wanted to read you her official bio because that's very important. So the thing about Jennifer is that most successful entrepreneurs hire Jennifer's company to add an additional 6 and 7 figures of high profit, high impact revenue by helping them to craft and sell high-end offers that are so hot that clients can't wait to buy them. In the last 4 years alone, they've personally helped their clients sell over $19.2 1.2 million in premium offers. Clients include brands such as eWomen Network, JJ Virgin, Alina Vincent, and Bo Eason, as well as hundreds of other heart-centered, mission-driven coaches and service-based businesses from around the world. Jennifer's mission is to empower entrepreneurs and the world to create abundance and prosperity. Jennifer and her husband Peter live in the mountains of southern Idaho with their sons, dogs, and a rooster named Jacques. I'm gonna have to ask about that later. She is thrilled to be able to hike daily, spend time with family and clients, and impact thousands of lives for the better. Jennifer, thank you so much for being here.
You're super, super welcome. I'm honored.
I'm so happy that you're here. Please, before we get into it, is the rooster named after the Shakespearean character, or is there a story behind his name?
Jacques is named after a character from The Love Guru. It's a Mike Myers movie, so it's probably all I can say here, but you should see the movie
That's
if you
great.
want to
That's
laugh.
plenty. I'm going to look it up. Okay, so it's not a Shakespearean reference. It's a Mike Myers reference. That's okay. He's Canadian. I'm cool with that. That's totally cool. I will be looking that up later. So I'm interviewing Jennifer because she is kind of the epitome of a successful speaker to me. I love the way that she does business. She's super heart-based. She's very compassionate and very supportive. And tell us a little bit about yourself and your business before we get into your secret sauce.
Yeah, I'm Jennifer Deep Stratton. My business is High Ticket Sales Success, and we help you to craft and sell amazing high-end offers that you love and that your clients can't wait to buy. So I've been doing this business about 11 years. Before that, I was in biotech. I sold in scientists and doctors and those folks. And when I became an entrepreneur, I realized people just didn't like a lot of the old models of how to do sales. They were old even when I started. And so I was very, very shy actually when I was younger. And when I went into sales because it was the scariest thing I could think of to do. And when I became an entrepreneur, I realized people aren't teaching a way to make sales, a way to craft offers that are super inviting. They don't require you to be pushy or weird. How do you actually make the business happen from that very heart-centered place where you actually care about people? You're not out just to get the money. And so I started using speaking. As soon as I started selling, I right after that started speaking because the two together are it's like peanut butter and chocolate.
Yeah, I agree. And I know that that's a big part of. So how does speaking kind of feature in your business? You obviously work with high ticket sales. Is that part of why speaking works so well for you, or how does it work?
I'll give you a tip. This is how we grew our business to our first multi six figures. We did it in under 20 months. I started like everybody else. Like I didn't have an email list. I didn't even have a Facebook account. I left corporate and I'm like, oh, I have to replace an income now. My husband was staying home with our kids at the time because it was right after the real estate crash and he was in construction. So I had to figure it out. And so it happened at the time that I met a mentor her whole thing was on speaking. And I knew that I wanted to be the kind of person who could get on a stage and inspire an audience, create like an inspirational or like open up a new possibility for them. I wanted to lead transformational seminars. And so I trained with this mentor of mine for a number of years because I mean, speaking to just get up and talk or to do a presentation or to do a book report, it is not the same thing as getting on a stage with an audience that's been curated by somebody else and then you want to convert into something for your business. But I could see the potential and I could see that it could make a lot of money and it would also be something I would like to do. And so I went all in on speaking and that's all I did. Like I literally had a single web page, not even a website for 2.5 years. Just speaking and in small venues, like online, 9 people, nothing big. And it's just, we can talk more about why. I'm sure you've told people why speaking is like the thing, but it's such a powerful tool. I still do it today. If I want to fill an event, I speak. I want to sell a course, I speak. I want to have bigger visibility and new partners to promote something of mine, I get on a stage.
Yeah. And I love that you said that you're speaking to smaller audiences too. It's not like in order to make high ticket sales, in order to make kind of real money in your business, you need to be speaking in front of hundreds and hundreds of people at all.
Oh, right. That was the tip I was going to say. Like what I do, the shortest path,
Yeah.
and it's still literally what I do today, even though we've made millions of dollars, okay, is I speak to an audience for 15, 20, 30 minutes. We do a free offer and an invitation to book a call. And the right people, if you have the right talk and you're in front of the right audience and you make the right invitation, they'll book a call and then we'll sell thousands of dollars off of those calls. So
Yeah.
it's very low tech, and extremely, extremely effective. I was actually thinking about some numbers for you. Do you want me to share some numbers?
Yeah. Share some numbers.
I was
Share
thinking
some sexy
because
numbers.
I speak a lot virtually. There's
Yeah.
a lot, hundreds of places you can go online to speak to small audiences, online. And I was just thinking last year when earlier this year, I was on a plane and I spoke in front of an audience of about 40 people.
Right.
And about 78% of them, 80% of them opted in for my free offer. And then we also sold within the next 3 months $85,000 worth of high-end offers to those people. But I didn't have to
To
sell
40
anything from
people.
the front. Yeah, and I didn't sell anything from the front of the room, right? I was just giving,
Yeah.
giving, giving. Yeah. So that's how we do it.
And I love that. I love that you don't sell from stage at like first touch. It's always much more gentle. And obviously you have a very specific process to this that you teach people. So we won't go deep into that because you should work with Jennifer. She's amazing. But yeah, obviously you have a process to this, but it is still the most effective, and yeah, like you said, it's really low tech. It's very accessible to people. Like you don't need to have a lot of stuff to go out and speak. But you did say there's a difference between just speaking and speaking to sell. Do you want to speak a little bit about, like, emotionally and internally, does that did that those two things feel kind of different for you? Did it take you a while to kind of master the speaking to sell versus just
Oh,
speaking?
well, I remember very many years ago, my mom said, "You should be a speaker." And I was like, "What about? Like, what would I speak about?" This was way back when I was in corporate. I hadn't even started my business yet.
Yeah.
But I ended up in a personal development course. And one of the things we had to learn was how to lead a seminar from the front of the room. We'll talk about personal development for somebody shy. I remember being in a room with my peers, about 50 of them, and I'm on stage, and we all had the same thing that we had to deliver. So they all knew what I was supposed to be saying. And I remember standing on the stage, and I'm like looking over towards the door, thinking, I wonder if I can make it to the door before anybody notices that I've left. I was just like sweating, and it was just so hard. And so just speaking for me, like it's a miracle, really. Like even that I'm here with you and I'm like extemporaneously speaking, it's really a miracle. I was so shy, I was so scared, so sweaty. I still get nervous, but I've just
Me
done
too.
it enough time that I'm kind of just used to being nervous, and I have to take off my little slippers because my feet sweat. But but in
You can
terms of like
always speak
speaking,
barefoot anyway. It's just better.
yeah, I mean, I have one shoe on and one shoe off. So, but the thing about speaking to sell, and what I really want to say is like speaking with a purpose.
Mm,
Not necessarily that you're selling from stage, which you certainly could go direct to a sale from a stage,
yeah.
or you could sell a free offer and have people, sign up to learn more.
Or an
But
idea or a movement, you're
yeah,
still
or
selling. Yeah.
exactly, like that's what speaking is. Like but if you're speaking inside of a business, the speaking has to attract the right people and lead them to the right place.
Hmm.
And what I see for a lot of people is they want to become speakers, but they're not, but they don't have a business behind it, or they're not speaking on the right thing. Like, and a lot of times if you don't know where you want to take people, then you end up talking for too long about the wrong stuff.
Hmm.
And then your business doesn't kind of go anywhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're just telling your personal story for too long, and people are like, "Oh, I feel sorry for that person. Oh well." And then there's like no, then you don't get any of the juice or any of the
Yeah.
benefit of the speaking. So like having that right talk with that right purpose, so it's inside of a business strategy, is well what Danielle does.
Well, and I love this because the way I used to think about speaking to sell was that speaking was fun and selling was scary. And then I learned more, and I realized what you're saying, that it's more about taking the audience on a journey. And it's cool because then you realize that it's actually more about being in service than anything else. Then if you're just speaking and telling your story, it's kind of egocentric. You're like, oh, it's all about me. It's the me show. Whereas if you're speaking to share something, to sell something, to provide an experience, you have to think about your audience more than yourself. And that's actually nicer, I think.
Well, and that's also for me, if I'm nervous, it means I'm worried about me.
Yeah.
As soon as I put my attention on the audience, the nerves go away. So, and there's a
Yeah.
lot of tools. I mean, Danielle, obviously you're the expert at all of those things to not be nervous, but um, yeah, I mean, it's all about the audience. And I actually won't speak unless I can make an offer.
Right.
So it might even be a free offer,
Mm.
but I like for me, if I'm going to get on a stage, I want to impact lives, right? Like otherwise, why, right? Like that's the whole
Yeah.
point is to get on the stage, give the audience an experience, impact their lives in an important, meaningful way. And you you don't really know how much impact you had if you don't ask people to do something. Because what people say they'll do and what people actually do are two totally different things.
That's true.
So
That's
as
true.
a speaker, I want to get real cozy friendly with inviting people to take an action because then I really have real feedback instead of just what's in my head, which is never friendly, about how effective was I actually
Yeah.
in really getting my message across. So I always speak to sell unless, even though I'm not actually like selling is sort of a general term, right? It could be selling a
Yeah.
free offer, in
Yeah.
fact, like no extra money, right?
Yeah. And you mentioned that, you're introverted and you're shy and that it took you a while to get over your nerves, which is so reassuring for everyone, I think. And that you still get nervous. Reassuring for everyone, I think, because you're very successful and you still get nervous. It's okay. But do you think that having the kind of the fire and the passion and the wanting to make a change, do you think that that helped with getting over the initial nerves and like the initial shyness? Do you think that that helped? Like if you hadn't had that heart-centered reason to get up, do you think it would have made a difference?
Oh yeah. I mean, your passion for what you're doing. So you're always going to be afraid. Like,
Yeah.
newsflash, like I don't care how successful you are, you're always going to be afraid of something. Everybody's afraid of different stuff at
Mhm.
different times, but you're always going to be afraid. So you can just count on that.
Yeah.
So pick something, like fire up your passion for something, because if your passion is big enough, it'll be bigger than the fear.
Yeah.
That's what you want. If the drive and desire is not there, then why bother? So pick
Mhm.
something really foster that. So I like to say, growing in business is overcoming a series of fears.
Yeah.
You never know when they're going to appear. So
So true.
I intentionally put myself I intentionally choose goals
Mhm.
that are a little bit scary
Mhm.
because they cause me to have to grow and get over myself.
I love that you lean into that. You're just like, yeah, bring it. I'm
Well,
gonna
it's
do it.
the lid, right? Like if I don't do that, then I'm always going to be the same that I was, which means I'm not going to get any bigger. And if I really want to make a difference in the world, then I have to cause myself to grow. So I intentionally put myself in scary situations and then I have to like get over it. And, of course, we have all these tools to help ourselves with our limiting
Yeah.
beliefs and all those things. And if I look at where I am now, I would not, I just remember that when for every stage of growth I've had in my business and as a speaker, every time I'm on that in that new place, I'm like, whoa, how did I do that? And then I think, oh, because I did it, because I chose to do it. So it's
Hmm.
not going to just, it doesn't accidentally happen. Like every successful speaker you see is because they put themselves in the situation that would develop them and they dedicated themselves and they found a really great mentor and they did it.
Yeah. And it's not a mystery. It is just you do the steps and you get to the place. It feels like a mystery when you're looking at it from, the bottom of the mountain and you're like, whoa, it's amazing. But you do the steps and you get to the place. So what do you think your biggest struggle was?
The biggest struggle was probably writing that first talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I wrote that first talk. I had 11 different first talks. I think that
Very
was
different or all very similar?
they were similar, but I couldn't really I just kept redoing it, and I think it's a procrastination technique. It didn't feel like a procrastination technique, but I kept trying to have myself be comfortable by
Mm-hmm.
redoing it, but that's not actually where the comfort comes from. So I've kind of learned to quiet that part of my nervousness or nervous system and just like the talk's good if I show up for it. You know what I mean? If I
Yeah.
can be present and really be with it, then it's gonna be fine. So don't let like my talk's not ready. Well, and I
Yeah.
know you have an amazing thing that kind of just circumvents that whole issue completely.
Not even a problem.
Not even a problem. So don't let that get hung up like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to talk about, so I can't be a speaker yet. No, no, no. Just talk to
Yeah.
Danielle.
Yeah. And I'm amazed. And it does, it takes time. You do the steps, it takes time. You got to overcome the fear. I'm amazed that you had such an amazing growth within such a short amount of time, but you also are one of those people who just leans in and goes, I'm scared of this, so I'm going to do it, which is an admirable quality. What would you, for those who are just starting out, who've got this, like, they've got this big passion, but they've also got the nerves and they're not sure if they can do it, if everyone says that speaking's really good, but what if it's not for me? What would your advice be for those speakers just starting out who aren't quite sure yet?
Okay, well, number one, have a talk. Right, like plan a talk it's not just the topic, but what goes in the talk and how you deliver the talk. Like you have to have something that you're going to speak about. But I'll tell you the biggest piece for me. I had been speaking for about 8 years and pretty successfully. Like we were doing pretty good. We were doing pretty good. We had developed a pretty good talk. I had been done, many, many, many dollars of sales. But I'll tell you, the year I really just became myself, we doubled my stage conversion.
This is the magic, people. It's just about being yourself.
It's and it's not just like, oh, blah blah, I'm going to tell my personal story. No, you have to have a talk structure that allows you to deliver the right message.
Mhm.
But for years, I would get nervous. I mean, I still get nervous. But what I noticed was at some point along the journey, I really settled down and I stopped giving so much of a
Yeah,
whether or not I did it right. And when I let that go,
yeah,
just even more magic started happening. It was
yeah,
really, I just stopped, can't say I stopped caring, but I stopped being so trying. Just stopped trying. And I just
yeah,
started being, and it just started working so much better.
yeah. Like caring for others as opposed to caring about what others think, I think is maybe the difference because yeah, and this is one of the things that's so magnetic about you, Jennifer, is you're just so comfortable with yourself. And it's so great, and it gives us permission, when we're working with you to really feel, oh, I can be my weird, quirky self because Jennifer's being her weird, quirky self. So obviously it's okay. It gives permission, which I think is so fantastic because I agree that if we spend so much time and energy just trying to be something that we're not, what if we spent that time and energy instead being connected, being passionate, connected to our audience? What if we took that time and energy and used it for something more useful? Because trying to hide who we are is never useful anyway, and it's exhausting. And who you are is who you are, no matter who you are. When you're really who you are, it's magnetic.
Well, and it's weird because it didn't feel to me like I was trying to hide who I was at
Yeah,
all. I just wanted to do a really good job.
yeah,
Right? I just really wanted to do a good job. I knew it was a big opportunity to get on a stage or a lot of eyeballs on me. So I just wanted to do a good job.
yeah.
And I did. And here was the kicker. People would say to me, "Great presentation." That was the feedback I was getting. Jennifer, that was such a great presentation. You just did such a great job. And I hated it. If people tell you you're doing a great job, just hate it.
Yeah. No,
Because,
I get what you mean.
do you know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah,
why would you say that to somebody? You tell them you did a great job because they're trying to do a good job.
you can
Not,
see that they
whoa.
want the star, they want the gold star.
And I'm such an A student, it was
Yeah, me
just,
too.
and of course we want to do a good job. I'm not saying don't try to do a good job. It's just
Yeah,
that can really get in the way of us really, really connecting. And when you see a
Yeah.
speaker really connected to the audience, like magic happens. And so that's all I'm saying. Like, of course, you're going to do a good job, but it when you're trying to do a good job, you're just not gonna impact the audience as much as knowing you're doing a good job and
But
just being with the audience.
it comes back to what you just said about the difference between focusing on yourself or focusing on the audience. Focusing on yourself doing a good job because you want to get a gold star, or focusing on the audience and doing a good job by giving them the experience that you need to. And it's so subtle, and it's you won't even really notice it necessarily if you're not really paying attention. But internally, it's a big experience, and it changes the experience for the audience, I think.
For sure. For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Speaking of, if you are interested in building your speaking confidence, I have a 3-day coming up. The Ignite True Speaking Confidence event. It's 3 days, and Jennifer has very generously offered an attendance bonus. So for people who come for the full 3 days, you got to experience the full 3 days because you want to get the results. You don't want to just pop in and go, oh, that's nice, and then use that as another excuse to procrastinate. You actually want to do the work, show up, do the thing so that you get to where you want to go. So if you come to the whole 3 days, then Jennifer has a gift for you. And Jennifer, I'd love you to tell us about what that is.
Yeah. This is for you because you actually went and like don't go to an event and just dip a toe in, especially something like Danielle's where it's ignite your speaking confidence. You want to be a speaker, you know you want to have more confidence, you can do it. This is a truly transformational experience. You never know when the transformation is going to happen. So you want to be there, present, and really engaging yourself so that you can come out on the other side and be that speaker you want to be. So I have a gift for you because what I have noticed is that like for people that take action, when you take fast action, you sign up for the event, you go to the event, you're so much farther along than the person who didn't, right? I mean, what's the difference between success and not success? Well, the person who had success took the action, right? That's the only thing, right? So go to the event, and then I have a bonus for you because I know you're going to be able to use it, which is the new client by Friday 5-day challenge. Okay. And so it is you have digital access to this entire course. It's a $497 challenge that I did. And it's like bite-sized training each day for 5 days. And guess what happens by Friday? New client. So what happens if you actually do the work is by Friday, you'll either have a new client or you'll have moved your opportunities so much farther than you probably ever would have. And you'll be like, oh, that's all I have to do to bring in a new client. It's amazing. It's amazing. So that's my gift to you for
Mm,
attending the event.
that is so powerful. And yeah, Jennifer has an amazing way of just taking the really like common sense stuff that you know and just distilling it into something so powerful and so digestible that you're like, oh, I can do that. It doesn't feel so overwhelming anymore. I can do that. I can do those steps. And she does it with such grace and such finesse. So I'm really excited about this gift. It is fantastic. You will have just come off 3 days of interactive learning how to speak, doing some speaking, feeling confident in the way that you're showing up as your beautiful self and not trying too hard to get that gold star. And so doing those steps will feel like the perfect next step to keep you going. And of course, if you need any support, you can always call me and just ask me questions. So we have to, I could talk to Jennifer all day, but we have to wrap it up. So Jennifer, do you have any final tidbits, words of wisdom, secrets to success that you would like to leave us with today?
Yeah, what I would say is if you are still here listening to me and Danielle, sign up for the event. I mean, really, it's like when you see a window of opportunity that appeals to you, it's kind of special. You know what I mean? Like there's this like, ooh, something's calling me there. What you want to learn to follow those um, feathers of inspiration, if you will, and just go for it. So I've learned over many years that it's better to just, when you get that inspiration, when that possibility knocks, answer the door, do it right away. And if you do that, opportunity will flow very quickly to you. If you don't take the opportunity, as a friend of mine says, how often does a once in a lifetime opportunity knock? Um, Only once if you don't open the door. But if you keep opening the door, just things start to flow in it with such rapidness. So I would say if you're here, that means you're interested in coming to the event. Go to the event of Danielle's, get your speaker confidence, and then make that a practice of when you see an invitation or you have inspiration around something, just act.
I love that. Follow the sparks of inspiration so that you're building momentum, so that your courage will overcome your fear. Yes, yes, yes. So thank you so much, Jennifer. I will be back in a moment with more secrets to speaking success. Stay tuned. Thank you very much, and we will see you very soon. Doing? Haha, there I am. Woohoo. Okay. Technology and I was so smooth on the coming in. So that was an awesome interview with Jennifer that I did last night. She was very generous to do that because she wasn't able to be here today live. And our next speaker is, I'm so excited for our next speaker. Susan Crossman is so amazing. Are you ready, Susan? Give me the thumbs up if you're ready to come on. Yes, excellent. So I'm going to bring Susan on and then I'm going to introduce her because I love making people sit awkwardly while I read their bios. But I'm so excited to bring her on. We are good friends, and I am just so impressed by how she's an inspiration. So I'm going to bring Susan on stage here. Hello, Susan Crossman.
Hello, hello, hello.
You look beautiful in the pink. I love it. So I need to tell you a bit about Susan. Susan Crossman is a writer and adventuress who lives to harness the power of a good story well told. We've been talking about stories all day. In recent years, she has gone ziplining in Costa Rica, lugging down a mountain in New Zealand, and trekking in the hills of North Kathmandu. Having written 5 traditionally published books herself, Susan works as a book coach and editor to help other forward-thinking entrepreneurs polish their stories to make a difference in the world. She also speaks several languages, and she has earned both a master practitioner designation in neuro-linguistic programming, NLP, and a behavior, LAB profile, and the, I missed that. And I'm doing so well with the reading, and there's so many long words here. A master's degree in English. She's trained in language and behavior, LAB, profile, and the Enneagram system of personality profiling. She's just got too many certifications to handle. She is a certified awakening coach. She is a good friend of mine. She is the recent award winner. When you just won an award, what award did you just win?
It was, the Women Changing the World's International Award for Excellence in Literature.
Yeah, I don't know where that. I keep telling her it's got to be on there. I don't know where that award is. It should be front and center. There we go. There it is. Hey, hey. So yeah, she is so accomplished. She really knows her stuff. She's so passionate about telling stories. Just such a generous soul, and I'm so happy to have Susan here because she has been speaking for well, I don't want to say for ages because that makes it sound like you've been around a while, but she's so good at it. And I'm just so happy that you're here, Susan. Thanks for being here today.
Well, what a delight to be here, Danielle. Thank you so much for including me.
Yeah, of course. And I'm so glad that you're my last speaker because I feel like if we go over a little bit, it'll be okay. No, seriously, it's so good to see you. And so I think you've got so much going on. I mean, especially in the publishing world, but just, you do so much. Can you tell the audience a little bit about just kind of what you're about, what your core kind of mission is?
Yeah, I really do live in the miracle zone because I help mission-oriented coaches, entrepreneurs, healers, innovators, people who kind of escape definition, and I help them to write the most compelling books they are capable of writing so they can share their messages and support their businesses, of course, as well. But so I get to hear all kinds of interesting stories, and I get to help people craft their stories so that they really do make a difference in the world. So that's what I do day in and day out. It's just the most magical thing I can possibly imagine doing. And especially for somebody who just loves language, loves books, loves stories. Yeah, I'm that little kid who used to climb up into the apple tree in the backyard with a whole pile of books and pencils and pads of paper. And that was how I spent my time, and I'm still doing it.
I knew we were friends for a reason. That is so that's so cool. I had a thought, then I got excited about the apple tree, and the thought just disappeared. I was like, oh, there's something interesting to ask you, and then I got excited. But yeah, I think, oh, what I was gonna say was those of you watching may have noticed that there aren't a lot of conventional personalities on this call, and there's a reason for that. I think I want to really encourage people to be their authentic, weird, wonderful selves. And we get a lot of, like gurus and celebrities are all, oh, we're all the same. And I think there's a lot of pressure on newer speakers to try and fit into that mold. And I think it's very important. That's why I invited the panel that I invited today, because you are all so successful and you are all so unique. And I know you, Susan, you're a bit of a rule breaker, which is so great. You're a bit of a rebel, and it's wonderful. Yeah, a little bit. You totally are. Don't lie. But it's so important to be able to. There's only one life, and it's your business. And if you're not doing it your way, why are you doing it, kind of thing. And so I really wanted to just highlight that, because I think you do it very gently, Susan, but I think you're very much an advocate of people finding their own way.
Yes, I definitely
I
am.
think
Yes.
that's very
Yeah.
true.
Yep. Follow your heart. Follow what presents.
Yeah.
Forget the rules. I mean, there are conventions. Sometimes, I can see why we have conventions and things like that, especially in writing. As an editor, there are conventions around editing, which I think are very valuable. But I think in terms of living a life, I think it's too short to follow all the rules that everybody thinks that you should be following when it comes to designing your life and crafting your way through it.
And even in editing and in speaking and in living, when we break the rules intentionally, because rules are there to be followed, but then when you break them intentionally, that's when you really can stand out and you can really make an impact, and people can really, it can be really powerful sometimes, I think. So you work very much in the publishing world and in editing and story coaching, but you also speak, and some people kind of think, I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm an author, I could never speak. So tell me about how speaking fits into your tell me how speaking fits into your business, my dear.
Oh, I speak all the time. It's and I didn't plan on ever doing that, because I was one of those people who was absolutely terrified of public speaking all the way through high school and university, and I was never going to be doing that. And now it's built into my life in weird and wonderful ways. I'm speaking on summits and podcasts all the time. Not all the time, maybe, every week or so I'm speaking somewhere. I speak for my own business. I put on a lot of events for my own business. We have a monthly or bi-monthly opportunity for people to come and be part of a community, and I do a little speaking there. I do an annual summit where I'm speaking. I do events. I put on a speaking event for authors in San Diego last year. It's really built into my life in a really major way. So yeah, I'm drinking the Kool-Aid at this point.
So what changed your mind?
Oh, it's been an evolution. I can remember before my first book was published, my creative writing coach had a speaking event at a little coffee shop. And this was the biggest step for me, was to be able to read from my manuscript. It wasn't published yet. And I thought I was going to die. My hands were all sweaty, and my knees were knocking, and my voice disappeared. And the reason, I think now, was I thought it was all about me. And over the years, I've come to realize it's not about me, it's about my audience. And so when I come from that place, that I'm here to serve people with what I have to offer, then I am so much more generous in how I approach my audience. So I think that was the big change. And also I got a lot of coaching along the way. Coaching is key. And I grew.
Yeah. Coaching is key. Always having someone to help you out. And it's an interesting path that you took, because I think it's funny, a lot of people today said, I didn't think I'd end up speaking. And that's maybe we're all just a little bit unlikely. But also, you're very successful, and you could potentially be quite successful what you do without speaking. Where do you think speaking fits in to, like, did you start speaking and did it just up your success a little bit, or did you get very successful and then start speaking, or like where did it fall in the process of where you think, things kind of clicked for you as far as being a business owner goes?
Yeah, I kind of backed into speaking. I over the COVID-19 pandemic, I started offering things online, as a lot of people did, and the way to promote all of that was to tell people about it. Well, you can tell people about it in onesies and twosies when you get on a call with somebody, or you can tell 10 people at once or 50 people at once, and that's speaking. Speaking is one-on-one for sure, but also
Totally.
when you have, yeah, we're speaking all the time anyway. It's just how many people are you speaking to? And I came to realize over the pandemic that, yeah, if I really want to make a difference in people's lives, then I need to be telling more people about what I do and how I can serve. And I do have a mission. I've come to realize, probably it's been, I don't know, over the last 7 or 8 years, that I'm really here to make a difference. It's wonderful to make money with our businesses, but how much better is it when we can help people live better lives? So the people who I'm here to work with as an author coach and an editor are specifically the people who have a message that's going to help people somehow with
Yeah.
living better lives, unlocking potential, running better businesses, coming from the heart, all those things. That's what I want to do. I want to contribute to peace on earth. And I can do that by helping people write better books. But I think I want to amplify that through speaking. And I came to realize, it was kind of a dawning realization, that I could reach more people through speaking and make a bigger difference in the world through speaking. And that's really, yes, I had generated a fair bit of success already. I was respected with what I was doing. And I just came to, bit by bit, realize, wait a minute, I can help more people in the world by speaking.
Yeah. Yeah, so you don't necessarily need to start speaking and your business at the same time. Like you can,
No.
you absolutely can. It can be part of your marketing plan right from the get-go. Or you can be in business for quite some time and then want to level up, want to leverage, want to increase conversions, and that's why you go to speaking. Or you could go to speaking as, like, for me, to be honest, I'm terrible at every other type of marketing. So it was the only recourse that I had, because I could speak in person very easily, and I realized that, like, oh, maybe speaking in public isn't that different from speaking one-on-one, and really it shouldn't be. It shouldn't feel that different. Yeah, it's heightened, but I think the one of the things that stops us, that kind of gets in our way, is that we think we've got this line somewhere where speaking one-on-one and speaking to a group are different skills, and I have to be a different person, or I have to present a different way. And the truth is, you can always be yourself. So for you, this kind of, do you see, like, in your clients, like, do you get your clients to speak, or do you just reach your clients through speaking?
I serve my clients through speaking, I think, is the way to look at it. I run
Oh, I like
an
that.
annual summit, and I bring 23 other speakers every year together to talk about book publishing, book marketing, book writing, inner work for around book writing, all that kind of
Yeah,
stuff. So to me, that's an act of service
yeah,
around that. And I do encourage my clients to speak, and a lot of them don't want to. And that's okay. We've all got to find our own path. But I do see speaking as a very powerful way to promote your books. So if you're wanting to get some exposure for your book, public speaking on podcasts, on summits, at events, conferences, it's an incredibly powerful way to get your message out about your book as well as your business.
When I think about how many books I've read because I saw someone speak, yeah, it really is. Like, that's pretty much how I
Yeah.
find my reading list these days, is through referrals. Like, someone's read it and told me it's amazing, or I've
Yeah.
seen that author speak somewhere and I
Yeah.
want to learn more. Yeah, absolutely. Because there's
Yeah.
a lot out there. You got to differentiate yourself somehow.
Well, I mean, and thousands of books are published every day on Amazon. How are
Exactly.
you going to differentiate yourself? And one of the ways you can do that very elegantly is by becoming a speaker.
Yeah. What was your most surprising obstacle when it came to learning how to speak?
Well, as a recovering perfectionist, I would have to say that it was that belief that it had to be perfect, that that first talk had to be absolutely perfect, and I would get almost physically ill preparing a talk initially because I would go over it and over it and over it, and I'd beat myself up because no, that's not the right way to say it, and well, what's the order of things? Like, should I change the order of that? And it's never going to be good enough because I'm not a speaker. So there was an identity issue around how a speaker is a certain way. You know, there's a certain presentation around being a speaker, and I'm not that. You know, I'm not highly polished, and I don't wear the $3,000 suits, and I don't, you know,
Mm.
yeah, I just don't have all that. So I thought that's what you had to have in order to be a successful speaker. And I was the straight A student who needed to study. You know, love to study. I love achievement. All those things. And I think that perfectionism really got in my way for a very long time when I first started to embrace speaking.
I think that's such a common thing, and especially spending forever on the trying to get the script perfect. I'm always this is why I don't let my speakers use scripts, which I know can sound scary. I have a system. It's not like I just throw
Yeah,
you in the deep end, but this is one of the reasons. One of the reasons I don't let my beginner speakers use scripts because it's such a wonderful procrastination tool, and it's such a wonderful
right.
way to beat yourself up. So I think it's very common that people use trying to get the script perfect as a way of hiding. What advice would you give to younger speakers? Well, not younger, but like newer speakers, people who are young in their speaking career. What advice would you give them to kind of overcome that?
Well, my biggest advice would be to go to your event, actually. That would be step one is, what you offer in terms of giving people real assistance for leveraging who they already are so that they can be more comfortable speaking. I think that's number one. And a 3-day immersion in that. Can you just imagine? I wish that had been available to me when I was at the beginning of my speaking efforts because I did find my way to coaching, thank goodness. I think
Yeah.
everybody needs a coach when it comes to speaking. How can you possibly be expected to know how to be a great speaker if you've never done it before? It's like anything. We need assistance, and I think that's the other thing. You don't need to do it alone.
Oh
Whether
yeah.
it's book writing or public speaking or owning a stage, you really don't. I'd say 99% of the successful people I know have gotten assistance with all of the things in their businesses and the things that they're doing. Like you don't do it alone. Nobody does it alone. Don't be a
Nobody does
lone
it alone.
ranger. Yeah. So yeah, I would say definitely that. Yeah, I'm very excited about your event, and I think also your coaching generally, Danielle. Is that something else I would inspire people to do is to work with a pro, and Danielle is a complete pro. So yeah, definitely.
Mhm.
Um, and connect with why you want to do it. That's the other really important piece. For me in the authoring world, a lot of people, as I mentioned, they speak in order to bring visibility to their books. But first you need to know why you want to do that.
Yeah.
Like why do you want to get the visibility? And so I think connecting to that why is really important in everything, and especially in speaking, because that'll also drive which speaking engagements you're going to be looking for.
Uh-huh.
So, and how
Yeah.
you market yourself and all those things. You got to know why.
Yeah, that is really huge. And I imagine writing is even more lonely than being a solopreneur. You know,
It can be.
and we all have those. I mean, I definitely have those nights where, the day's gone really well, but then I'm burning the midnight oil working on whatever I'm working on. And you just start to feel a little bit alone and a little bit like, why am I doing this? And the doubts creep in,
Yeah,
when we don't get enough support from our community, from coaches, from other people. So it's very easy to let those doubts take hold if you don't have community or a coach or support of some sort. So
yeah,
I think that's huge is reaching out, and yeah, whatever support looks like for you. I mean, personally, you know, you don't have to have the same coach for a long period of time, but I don't trust a coach who doesn't have a coach, because do they think that they're perfect? Do they think that they've arrived? Because
Yeah.
we don't ever really arrive. I mean, we can arrive to the base camp, but there's
Yeah.
always more.
Well, and that's the other point I would like to make too is, it's a marathon, not a sprint. You're not going to learn it all in an hour and a half and be able to manage your speaking career beautifully. This is something we develop over years quite often, our prowess in the speaking world. So
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And what were the kind of biggest, I'm asking you this because I feel like I don't know what the answer, I'm not asking because it's a leading question. I know what the answer is,
okay.
but I just feel like we know each other well and you'll be honest and vulnerable. What do you think some of the biggest mistakes you made were? Like, do you have any, like, oh my goodness, that's so cringe. I can't believe I did
Oh,
that.
oh, golly, let me think.
Just to put you on the spot.
Oh yeah, going over time.
Oh,
I went over half an hour once because I was, yeah. And for people who maybe don't know, when you're given a speaking slot, you're given the organizer will tell you how long you're supposed to speak. And there I was having a wonderful time serving my audience, and I went half an hour over, and I got off the stage and saw how long I'd gone over and above what I was supposed to, and I just thought, oh, that is so rude. So I'd say that's probably the worst mistake that I've made. And timing is a challenge. Like you've got to know what your timing is. You need to practice your talk. Like
yeah.
so I'd say I've done that a couple of times. I don't do that anymore. And that perfectionist piece, like reading from a script, I've done that. Yep, came across like an absolute wooden doll. Very impressive.
Perfect words, perfect
I
word
did.
choice.
It
And
was
everything
perfect.
else, oh my goodness, snore.
I didn't miss a single word, and there I was reading along. No engagement whatsoever. Yeah,
Oh,
don't do that.
yeah, don't do that.
Yeah,
Don't
don't
do
do
that.
that.
It is a different skill. I actually think of reading in public and speaking in public as two completely different skills. They're different skill sets, and don't confuse the two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Nobody really wants you to get up and read to them if you're supposed
If
to be
you're reading an
giving them a talk.
excerpt from your book, that's a totally different
Yes.
thing. And that is its own thing, and it's very special and it's very beautiful.
Yeah.
But never bring that up into I am now speaking extemporary. It's like, don't do it.
Uh-uh,
Yeah.
uh-uh.
hmm
Yeah.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah.
which is a lot about delivery.
Oh,
It's practicing that delivery.
yeah, developing that internal clock. Did you ever, I haven't spoken in front of real human people in the same room since COVID. I will eventually again, but I'm flitting around the world right now, so I'm staying online. But one of my favorite tricks, and I don't know if you've ever done this, I used to put a clock on the wall right in front of me on the back wall so that I could always see what time it was so that I never went overtime. And I just
Yeah.
traveled, have clock will travel. I had
Oh,
this little
good
wall
idea.
clock wherever I went.
What a great idea. Oh, I never did that. I do like a clock though. I mean, when I'm speaking, I have a clock right in front. Like I've got a timer. Actually, if it's a Zoom-based event, there are online timers you could get. And I
Yes.
have that sitting up in the corner of my computer monitor with the time on it. So I do know where I am and how much time I've got left.
Yeah.
And when I'm running an event, my tech lady, who's the director of operations in my company, she is absolutely wonderful because she will text me. You've got 10 minutes left. You've got 5 minutes left. You've got 2 minutes left. And those little text messages pop up and they're a really great reminder. Oh, I got to speed up. so, so it's helpful to have a person helping you with all of that stuff.
Yeah. And speaking of support and community, yeah, it's really so nice to have someone else on the call with you or in the event with you to help you out. And I would really recommend to everyone, even if you don't have like a regular, assistant, having someone to be at an event, like an in-event assistant, is worth its weight in gold. Like always do that. But also just things like thinking about for support. You've been doing your summit for your authors for quite some time, like a good few years. And that's kind of like support too, because you're bringing in a whole bunch of speakers. So there are lots of different ways to speak to serve your audience. And a summit is a lot of work, but it also means you're not doing all the speaking. So can you talk about how that experience is maybe different? Like you have lots of different ways that you use speaking in your business. Can you talk about like how
Mm.
the experiences are the same and different?
Oh, sure. Well, the summit I absolutely love. It's my favorite thing that I do. Well, other than coaching and other than editing and other than working.
One of your favorite things.
Like I say, I live in the miracle zone. I've been able to craft a business for myself that lets me do all of my favorite things. Like it's just I live in the miracle zone. I just can't believe how lucky I am, and yet I know I've given up a lot. Early on there was no salary, which was not really fun initially, but I've been in business for years and years and years and years. But yeah, so the summit, we've done 7 summits now. So I've interviewed 140, 150 people who are, as I say, they're publishers, they're book marketing experts, they're publicists, they do anything book related. And so I get to learn. So speaking is a way for me to learn, which I just, one of my highest values is learning. So it's built into what I do. And so I interview people. And way back when, at the beginning of my career, I was a journalist, sort of the kind of the official
Right.
part of my career. Yeah, I just loved it.
Yeah.
So I had to interview people. That's part of what you do when you're a journalist. And so I didn't imagine at that point in my life that I could actually get paid to interview people. That was kind of an aspect of speaking. That was
Yeah.
that was just not in the plan for me at that point. So I didn't know you could do that, but it was a skill that I developed over a number of years in journalism, because like I say, that's one of the important skill sets in journalism, is the interviewing to get the information, and then writing in order to summarize what it is people have told you and synthesize all that. So that's the big part of how I speak now is through the summit. The community events that we run, I do webinars, and I also do this little bi-monthly meeting of where I bring people in for an hour, and we do like I'll do a little bit of teaching around writing and book publishing or marketing or whatever it happens to be that month. And that's speaking, but again, it's just sharing what I know. It's it's speaking, and yet it's something that I know about. And our events too, we do book writing events. So to me, a lot of speaking is teaching. Like I love teaching. I think I probably might have been a teacher in another life, because I just love sharing with people all the cool stuff that I've learned, because it's really fun. But that's part of speaking is sharing that. Now, the other piece of that, if you're an entrepreneur, is how are you going to make money out of sharing that with people? So you got to keep your eye on that ball too, which is another kind of speaking, not just sharing information, but sharing information intentionally with the hope that people will want to work with you too. So I do that a fair bit as well.
I love that. I love that. And yeah, there are so many sneaky ways to speak, and also sneaky ways to make make money through speaking.
Yeah.
I often speak to beginner speakers about go do interviews, do podcasts, because it's less scary because there's someone else to hold your hand. But I forget to tell people that you can be the one doing the interviews. It's a skill in itself. It's super fun. It takes a lot of the pressure off, because it's not about you. All you need to do is make the other person look good. That's your job. So that's great. And it also positions you as an expert. There's a credibility you get from that. So there's so many different things we can do, that I think we kind of think of public speaking as one very narrow channel, but there's so much. And we can do video blogs, and we can do all sorts of things. So you have lots of events and things going on, and I know you actually have an event coming up in June, don't you, as well? But you also have a gift for folks who come to my event. So I have an event next week. I nearly said next month. No, next week, May 20th to 22nd, Ignite True Speaking Confidence. It's a 3-day immersive event on how to lean into what makes you special, have fun speaking, enjoy it, and really start owning that confidence and that ease of speaking. But you have a gift to give people if they come to all 3 days. If they come to all 3 days, you are pledging a wonderful, exciting gift for folks. So can you tell us a bit about that?
I sure can. It's called Right on Track, and it is a 6-module course, self-study course on how to write a book. And it's really the guidance that if some people want to do it with other people, some people just want to try their hand at writing a book by themselves. And this is a really good program to make sure that people address the issues they need to address while they're working through that book. So yeah, it's pretty exciting to write a book, and is a lot of complexity to it as well. But this is my effort to help people who are speakers who maybe want to have a book to support their speaking career as well, so that they can get started on that too.
And they really do go hand in hand. In fact, it's come up over and over again during the summit how often people who are writers will move to speaking as part of how to promote their book, but people who are speaking will often write a book as part of supporting their speaking career. And so they do really go hand in hand. Having a book and being a speaker, they really do go together. And if that is something that you have been thinking about, because I know a lot of people are kind of the same way, that they're like, oh, I know I should be speaking for my business. There's also a lot of, oh, I know I should have a book for my business. So this is perfect. You get everything. It's $47 to come to my 3-day event next week, and you get this 6-module course on how to write a book. So you can be speaking. You can use a lot of the content you speak about in your book. Just going to say that there's a lot of overlap there too. So if you're a writer, you can use your book and base your speech on your book. But if you're a speaker, you can take what you've been speaking about and put it in your book. They complement one another. They do not need to be separate. They can be together. So this is just such a serendipitous gift. It's perfect. Who knew?
Who knew?
Who knew?
Yeah, it's true that book is a door opener for a lot of speaking engagements. That's for sure. It's a portal into a whole other lifetime of experiences.
And people who want to interview you, now they have a book to interview you about, and people who were thinking, oh, we're not sure if we want to pay you because who are you? Oh, you're the writer of this book. Now suddenly you have credibility. There are a lot of doors that having a book will open for you as a speaker.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yes, ma'am.
And there's lots of ways to approach it. And so once you've got your book, you talk to Susan about polishing it and really getting the storytelling part really tight and getting it out there in a way that suits your business. Because we're all different, as we know.
Exactly. No, go back to your why.
Go back to
why are you doing it?
How does it fit in? We all have different goals, and there is no right way to do business. There is no right way to do speaking. There's no right way to write a book. There are best practices, and that's it. That's not the same. It's not the same as rules. So, Susan, I love talking to you, and we will talk more, of course. But can you tell us, just as the end of this particular conversation comes to an end, can you tell our audience, especially to people who are maybe a little bit nervous about speaking or near the beginning of their career as speakers, maybe not as business owners, what is your golden nugget of advice for them?
Well, it might be a little unconventional. So if you will allow me to be a little unconventional, I do believe that there is a purpose for all of us on this planet. And that if an opportunity has shown up in your life, then there's a reason for that opportunity as well. And it's probably tied in with what you're here to do in this world. And so if speaking is showing up right now for you, and it is, if you're watching this presentation and if you're part of this amazing summit, then speaking is showing up for you, then I really encourage you to step into that, because you don't know where it's going to take you, but it's probably going to be somewhere really good.
If you're waiting for a sign, this is your sign.
This is your
waiting
sign
for someone to tell you.
Stop
this is
waiting.
us telling you.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait no longer.
Exactly. The signs are all over the place, and yeah, just lean in. When opportunity shows up, jump for it. Say yes.
Say yes. Yes, and say yes with support and a community and someone. Don't say yes and then run away and
And
be all by yourself and be upset that you're feeling lonely. Get some support. Say yes, get some support. Yeah.
yep, yep. And I mean, your summit or your event is a really prime example. It's showing up. Say yes. It's as simple as that.
Say yes. Say yes to yourself.
So,
So
yeah.
Susan, I am saying yes to finishing this conversation
Yes.
because we're gonna have to wrap it up. But I
Awesome.
just thank you so much. Thank you for
Uh,
coming. Thank you for
mm,
sharing your wisdom, for your. I love your gentle unconventionalism. You're really you're setting a path for people. There are so many different ways to do things. There are so many different ways to be successful and to find your own version of success. You can be you and be successful. We don't all have to be Oprah or Tony Robbins. We can be ourselves and love our lives. And yeah, thank you for being the perfect embodiment of that, Susan. You are wonderful.
mm. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Back at you, sister.
Oh. So I am going to take just a few moments just to remind everyone here that I have a 3-day event coming up. Did you know? So Ignite True Speaking Confidence, it's about exactly that. It's about this fire within you that you have. And maybe you have a fire and you have a fear. We've got two. We've got the fire and we've got the fear. And maybe they're in conflict right now. And my job is to help you really ignite that fire, really fan that passion, really lean into it so that it becomes bigger than the fear. Confidence comes once we take action. So we don't want to sit around waiting for that confidence to show up. It's never going to happen. What we need to do is ignite that speaking confidence. We got to set it on fire, lean into that passion, get into your why, get into why you do what you do, why you love what you do, what change you want to make in the world, leaning into that, those small discomforts that show us that this is what we want to do. There's a big difference between, oh, I'm scared of a saber-toothed tiger because it's going to eat me, and I'm scared of talking to this person or launching this product or doing this thing because it's so important to me and it's what I really want to do. That discomfort, we want to lean into that. We want to share our message. We want to live a life that is loud and alive. And I don't mean loud like brash, but I mean full. We want to live life fully. And part of that is designing your own, if you are a business owner, designing your own business. If you're not a business owner and you're speaking, you want to be alive as part of your speaking. You want to be, attracting the right audience. You want to be engaging. You want to be lit up when you're on stage and on camera. That's what we want. We want more people who love what they're talking about and are sharing that with other people, because that love for your topic, for your message, that love is going to spread out into the world. And we need more of that right now. I am calling you. It is your responsibility to share what is important to you, to speak your truth, to stand up. Now is the time. If you have been hiding, because it is scary, I'm not going to say it's not scary. Of course it's scary, but you have support. And especially in these 3 days that we're going to spend together next week, I have so many tools, physical, real, like tangible tools to help us deal with the fear, to help us to physicalize confidence, to feel strong, to feel confident, to calm that self talk. There are so many different elements to speaking. Some of them are so physical, and some of them are quite psychological, and some of them are emotional. And we're going to tackle it on all the different levels so that you feel so prepared and so strong within yourself and so supported to go out there and speak your truth and to kickstart that speaking career and lean into your brilliance, because the world needs you. We need you right now. So come out for the Ignite True Speaking Confidence. If you cannot make the whole thing, that's okay. It's modularized so that each session is kind of a bubble, not unto itself completely, because it does build over the 3 days. But if you can only come for a certain period, that's okay. Come anyway, you will get something. But if you can come for the full 3 days and experience that transformation, you will be different. You will leave changed. You will be more confident. You will be a better speaker. You will be a better communicator. You will be more solid and connected in ways that you had never imagined if you stay for the whole 3 days. And you'll get all of these amazing gifts from the speakers today. So, extra bribery bonus. Bribery. We're bribing you. We're bribing you to do what's good for yourself. So, please do come out. I am going to end today's summit. Thank you for being here. This has been a blast. This is my first ever mini summit of or summit of any kind. I just really did throw it together last minute, and I'm so very grateful to the speakers who came out, shared their expertise. I am so inspired by them. I kind of want to grow up to be all of these people that I've been talking to today, and I invite you to join me on my journey as I become more confident and capable as a speaker, and I will share everything that I have with you while I go along. So I will see you there. Come out to ignite true speaking confidence. I will see you then.